Now, guys, I apologize for not streaming yesterday. I was hit by several disasters all at once, cataclysmic stuff. That I don't really expect you to empathize with me over, to be honest with you. Though it would be nice. It would be nice if you could. So, first of all, I got a bit of a cough yesterday. Not sickness. I just longtime fans will know every once in a while, I get a bit of a cough. I'm just susceptible to coughing. I assume it's a costo thing. It could be a GERD thing. I don't really know. It's not serious, but it was inhibiting my ability to speak confidently yesterday. I think I feel a little bit better today. Again, not a sickness thing. Second of all, I downloaded the game. The farmers were replaced. Now, I can't code. I don't have a coding brain. I have no experience coding. However, I do find it delightful to try. And I was enraptured by the logic puzzles within the game. Here, let me just a moment. Are you a master of Python now? I think the only way to answer that question is to admit, yes. Yes, I am. Okay? So take a look at this, all right? Take a look at this, okay? We're going to optimize our pumpkin farming. All right? Okay, get ready. All right? We've got a drone. The drone's job is to plant the pumpkins. And then you have to collect the pumpkins. But oh, buddy, listen, you can't just go collecting pumpkins willy-nilly. All right? Because every once in a while, a pumpkin will grow into a dead pumpkin. And if it grows into a dead pumpkin, it can't turn into a super pumpkin. Observe. You collect the grass, and you till the field, and you plant rows and rows of pumpkins. Or columns, actually. Columns and columns of pumpkins. You see? We're planting the columns of pumpkins. But, oh, what are these? Dead pumpkins? They can't turn into super pumpkins that the regular pumpkins turn into. Because they're adjacent to them. What are you going to do? You just going to keep clearing all the shitty small pumpkins over and over? No, I don't think so, folks. Not for a coding genius like myself. See, after the first row, or after the first run, now we start selecting. Only the dead pumpkins get replaced. Look at that, see? All the regular pumpkins get kept. And after one sweep, where we clean up all the dead pumpkins, we start individually hovering over the remaining dead pumpkins and applying fertilizer over and over until they turn into regular pumpkins, you see? Thus, we consolidate the pumpkin numbers until finally... Wait, why did it collect that one? Oh no, my code. My code! No, why did it do that? I don't know why it did that. It shouldn't have collected that one. Ah! Now it's not collecting anything. Ah! It's fucking over. Now it won't collect. Now it won't plant these pumpkins. It won't plant these pumpkins now. Because it's in a why would... Now it's just wasting water and fertilizer. What the hell is going on over here? What the hell? Why it didn't do that before? It didn't do that before. Panic, sell everything, it's fucking over. Okay, wait, one more run. Come on, try again, try again. Come on, come on, come on. Okay. Plant all the pumpkins. Then one more sweep, where we replace only the dead pumpkins. Okay. And then we spot clean the remaining dead pumpkins. Like so. So far, so good. Why? What the fuck? Oh, I know what the problem is. I know what the problem is. It's because I hard-coded the top right dimension of the... God damn it. What is this? 22? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16... Is it 16? Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So it should be 15 by 15. Hold on. Okay, watch this. I'll fix this later, okay? Now, for one final time. I believe you can ask the drone for world size. I know! Okay? We'll general use case it in a second. But you are all going to see the big pumpkin, okay? I'll fix it later. I only just... I roughed the code together, and then I went to bed. Okay? And I'm not a coder. What is this? Shut the fuck up. Okay? Now we were one sweep of replacing the dead pumpkins. You're all gonna see the big pumpkin this time. You're all gonna see the big pumpkin this time. Why isn't it planting new pumpkins? It broke again! No! They didn't have the... I ran out of pumpkins! It takes carrots to plant pumpkins. I ran out. I ran out. It's so fucking over. I'm so mad. I'm so mad. Run's dead. Shit-ass game. Goodbye. I'm done. I'm retiring. This is fucked up, man. Fix my shit. Your pumpkin ventures have failed? Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty upset over it. Can you tell? At least it wasn't a coding error that second time, huh? Or that last time, huh? That wasn't a coding error. I just ran out of carrots. Fuck you. How long did you spend on those pumpkins? Listen, we'll find a way to farm carrots, okay? The carrots are more complicated. I didn't know you could program Fosh. Yeah, I'm pretty good at it. Can you tell? Current game. Good news today, please. I'm riding the high of planting trees with the friends in the city. Oh, that's happy. That's nice to know. Okay, fine. Good news. We'll do all the bullshit. We'll do all the bullshit first. Look, I got my very first watch for the wedding. Ain't that pretty? It's like the cheapest dress watch there is. But it's you know, it's a pretty classic look. It's hard to go wrong with that. Orient Bambino, yep. Yes, sir. I'll have more developed opinions on watches later. Right now, I just want a functional one. Make sure the belt and shoes match it. It's a dark brown leather. It's pretty hard to. Are you going to talk about the Trump BJ rumors? No, I put it in the title to bait people for fun. Why not Casio? What's the lowest price for a Casio dress watch? Like a proper dress watch. $3? $9.99? You're right, I should have gone with that. Wait, is dome slang for BJ? I thought you meant the Iron Dome. Yo, lean is a drug? Ah, hell nah. Who would ruin some good old white ass motherfucking you people. You people. All right, listen. I think today's going to be a little bit more chill stream-wise because I don't want to... Because I think my cough will be gone. It might be gone today. I just want to make sure that it's gone today. However, we do have a lot to cover, okay? First of all, and I apologize if some of you are oversaturated on this topic, but I'm not going to shut the fuck up about it because I'm single-handedly responsible for the election of a mayor. Thank you very much. Katie Wilson did a press conference following Bruce Harrell's resignation. Also, she went on CNN. Good for her. Riveting stuff. Let's move it along. Did she thank you personally? She's promised me 3 political favors, like genie wishes, you know?
There's a lot of you here.
She's so nervous.
Okay, no podium. I'm going to hold my papers. Hello, Seattle. I am so happy to be here on this quintessentially Seattle day, a rainy day in November, to say to all of the people of Seattle, this is your city. And I am delighted, beyond delighted, to be your next mayor. It is an honor and a privilege that I will do my very best to be worthy of. It is hard for me to believe now that when this year began, I had no intention of running for any type of political office, let alone mayor of the largest city in the Pacific Northwest, my home for the last 21 years. This is the city where my daughter was born and will be raised. This is the city where I have spent
From Bellevue to the
life,
sea, Seattle will be
where I worked
free.
repairing boats and renovating apartments, and where I co-founded the Transit Riders Union with friends and community members 14 years ago to organize and advocate for the interests of working people. Seattle is a great city, a spectacular city, and we are also now a big city with big city problems of homelessness, unaffordability for working families, and growing divisions along lines of class and race and community. 9 months ago, I made the decision to run for mayor because I sensed that the people of Seattle and its government were out of step, that voters were in search of a new direction.
This didn't really occur to me before because, of course, I only moved here a little while ago, but Seattle's really grown in the past decade or so. Like, I saw some comparison photos that I really couldn't believe. Like, look at this. Hold on. Seattle 2006 versus 2023. Look at that. Isn't that fucking insane? Look at that. That's a lot. Yeah, no kidding. They really developed the hell out of the place. Tech brought a lot of money. Okay, 2005, 2025. Isn't that fucking wild? Had a goddamn growth spurt. Okay, here's another one. 2011 to 2022. Same road. Sheesh. Just 11 years. You gotta agree that 2005 looks better? No, I really don't. I love big cities. Love big cities. See, the thing that you never appreciate when you're looking at the skyline is that walking around in places like this, where my mouse is, right here, fucking sucks. You know? Walking around a big road, big parking lots, and the buildings around are like 2, 3 stories high at most. Fuck that, you know? If you're walking down a big boulevard, you want to be surrounded by big buildings. Everything has to stay proportional, you know? Like this area to the left over here in 2006, this looks to me like what Midwesterners brag about when they talk about their preferred local cities, you know? Oh yeah, you can see Rainier over here, right over my camera frame. Yeah, damn. Here. Seattle waterfront transformation. A lot of the growing pains the city's experienced really make sense when you think about it in the context of how much it's grown. Yeah, here's the waterfront in 2016 and 2025. It cost like $200 million, but they turned this ugly fucking you know, Pacific Highway into a, you know, thriving, walkable waterfront park. It's amazing, actually. Yeah, no, if Seattle keeps up the level of growth that it's been experiencing for the past 20 years, it could turn into one of the big American cities, if properly zoned for it, right? You've got New York, LA, Chicago, and right now Seattle's a long way off, you know? Long way off. But I think in a couple of decades, off the level of growth and interest that's been developing up here, I think that potentially, you could, yeah, you could get that. Houston's fourth. Houston's fourth in population, but nobody would ever call Houston one of the great American cities unless you were talking about, I don't know, highway infrastructure investment, you know? It just doesn't have that cultural footprint. I'm fond of this one. After 20 years, Seattle finally managed to get rid of the big ominous cloud that was oppressing us. Thank God, huh? Here, wait. Here's an even more direct comparison. God damn, that's crazy. Look at that. 2018 to 2025. Look at that, huh? What a great place to put a waterfront park, too. This area right over here, in addition to all these lovely steps and all this greenery and so on, you have some artist lofts over here. That down there is the aquarium. Really, really nice. Just a big fan. Just a big fan, that's all. I'm just saying, Seattle's booming, you know? It's doing pretty good. Seattle job market's all right, certainly relative to other major cities. I just hope Katie Wilson's able to, you know, bring that torch along.
And that our problems required new leadership. It has been, I think it's fair to say, a bruising 9 months.
Oh yeah, minimum wage in Seattle's crazy. You know what minimum wage is here? $20.76. Whew.
But now the fight is over, and it's time to come together. Mayor Harrell called me earlier this afternoon to congratulate me on a successful race. And shortly after, I watched the live stream as he gave a very thoughtful and heartfelt address to the people of Seattle. My speech today will be a little bit shorter than his, but don't worry.
What's the rent, though? Don't worry about that. Listen, okay? Rent in Seattle is comparable to Los Angeles and many parts of New York, but the minimum wage here is higher. That's all I've got to say, okay? I've seen what rent looks like in LA, but the minimum wage there is significantly lower.
You'll hear plenty of me in the weeks and months to come. I want to sincerely thank Mayor Harrell for his many years of service to Seattle and to our entire region. We may not always have agreed on matters of policy and priority, and I think it's safe to say that our political visions differ in some significant ways. But I believe that both of us ultimately want the same thing, and that is the very best for Seattle and all.
You're only saying Houston lacks popular opinion, not that it isn't actually a cultural hub of mixed background. No. There's lots of cool stuff to do in Houston. There's lots of cool stuff in Houston, but Houston doesn't have like an identity as a city that drives its national reputation. When I say great American city, I don't just mean population, GDP, or, you know, how many good food trucks there are or whatever. I mean like Chicago has an identity in the American story. LA and New York, of course, uncontested in this respect. Boston would be up there, but it doesn't have the population. San Francisco could potentially be a great American city. They would just have to upzone a bunch of it. I just think Seattle is a contender. Right now, Seattle does not have the cultural power to be a great American city, you know? But it could. Yeah, Philadelphia, Boston, DC, and San Francisco are definitely like closer to the top than Seattle is. I'm just saying, of all those communities, Seattle's growing the fastest.
Diverse communities, opportunities for our young people, and a great quality of life for all. I want to recognize that Mayor Harrell has been, and I'm sure will continue to be, a person of great importance to this city. And that he
also, we have the biggest
much of the
mountain
last
nearby.
20 years serving the people of Seattle, first as a council member, and then, not once but twice, as he reminded us today, as our mayor. I wish him all the best in his future endeavors. Leading a major city is an incredibly hard job, and Mayor Harrell has been at the helm during a difficult 4 years. I look forward to working with the mayor's team to ensure a smooth transition over the next 2 months. And I look forward to working with every member of the City Council next year to make progress on our greatest challenges together. The past 9 months have been for me a remarkable experience. A reporter called my team the other day and asked, who was the mastermind behind this campaign?
And I said,
because no one saw us coming. No one saw us coming. And while it's true that there were some brilliant individuals who contributed to this effort, the real answer to that question is the literally thousands of volunteers who gave their time, their energy, their effort over the course of those 9 months. This was a grassroots campaign through and through, funded through Seattle's pioneering democracy voucher program and powered by volunteers. We knocked over 52,000 doors since the primary election. Sheesh. And I want to recognize our stellar field team leaders, Sochi Makovich, Artie Nasrati, Cecile Rouge, and James George, and the many super volunteers without whose efforts we simply could not have won this race. And I want to express my profound gratitude to my campaign manager, Alex Gallo-Brown.
You guys are so close to nature, it's insane. Yeah, if you can drive 15 minutes out from downtown Seattle and genuinely be in like the woods, and not the like pissy, you know, grass and field kind of woods that you would get in I don't know, if you were driving out from New York or whatever for an hour. I mean like rainforest the woods, like deep the woods. It's beautiful. So there's a reason REI's flagship store is there.
Organizer Matt McIntosh, and to my consultant Jake Simpson and the team at Wind Power for their steadfast guidance throughout this campaign. And of course to my family. My husband Scott.
Wait, is Mother Nature legal in America? Buddy, we have more Mother Nature than basically any country on Earth, you know? America's natural landscapes are essentially unrivaled. Nothing else even. I can't think of another country that comes close. Canada? Fuck Canada. Also, like 80% of that shit, you'll die, okay? America is the perfect middle ground, okay? Basically, all of America is survivable to drive through, but a lot of it is essentially untouched, especially in the West. Brazil? Nope. How many paths are you going to take through the Amazon in Brazil? That's the thing. Brazil has lots of nature, but in order to get to it, you need to be like, okay, yeah, here's base camp. This is as close as I can take you. Good luck, you know? America's the perfect middle ground. Every biome on the goddamn planet, roads cutting through all of it, so all of it's accessible, you know? Solid 30% of the country is just untouched wilderness, you know? Nothing beats America, baby. In this regard, nothing beats America. Australia? Want to see 18 trillion square miles of the same completely uninhabitable 118-degree fucking wasteland? Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you. We have every biome, man. We got rainforest. We got tundra. We have everything. God blessed us. It's the promised land.
Our daughter, Josephine, to my parents, and to all of the friends who have helped out in ways large and small, and ensured that throughout all the stress and chaos of this campaign, never once...
We don't have rainforest, do we? Dog, I live in a rainforest. The Pacific Northwest is a rainforest. You know how wet it gets here? It's not the same kind of rainforest as the tropics or whatever, but it's a rainforest.
Have I felt alone or unsupported? And to all of the volunteers, thank you, thank you, thank you. So many hearts, minds, hands, and spirits were part of our daily work. From creating graphics, to shooting videos, to writing scripts, and posting on social media,
oh yeah, Hawaii might
to
have
knocking doors and organizing house parties and community meetings, and on and on and on. It is really staggering to think about. And we needed every one of them, because we were up against the most expensive attack
You guys don't have to be contrarian. It's widely known that America is exceptional with regard to its, like, outdoorsmanship, you know, opportunities. That's not like, I didn't get that opinion whole cloth, okay? This is a widely known thing. We are blessed in this respect. Thank Teddy Roosevelt, okay? Don't argue with me.
In Seattle's election history, wealthy interests poured nearly $2 million into a political action committee to prevent my election. Because for some people in our city, the status quo is working exactly as intended. It may look like an affordability crisis to working and poor people, but to others, it simply looks like business as usual. They might have the money, but we had the people. And the results of this election prove that. The working people of our city are tired. They are ready for something new, something more hopeful and just and equitable. And I am committed to fighting as hard as humanly possible to realize our shared vision. There is an awful lot that I want to accomplish as mayor. I want everyone in this great city of ours to have a roof over their head.
In my eye.
I want universal child care and free K-8 summer care. I want world-class mass transit. I want great, safe public spaces where kids can run around with abandon. I want stable, affordable housing for renters. I want social housing. I want much more land and wealth to be owned and stewarded by communities instead of corporations. I want a robust economy with thriving small businesses. great living wage jobs, and strong rights for workers. I want a city where...
Honestly, the main thing that Seattle needs to do to succeed is to grow. It just needs to fucking grow. Seattle needs to grow like crazy, like a weed. And Seattle is building a lot. Like, Seattle is one of the few American cities that's building quite a bit right now. But it needs to build way more. And the problem is that, unlike most American cities, Seattle does not have a lot of land upon which to do that growing. Seattle is like... Seattle is very, very, very limited by its geography, right? I mean, you take a look at it, and I mean, obviously, there's a limit to how far south you can go, of course, before you start hitting the city borders, and likewise with north. You're hemmed in by Lake Washington on the east and by the Puget Sound on the west, and then also a lot of this terrain is incredibly hilly. Really, it seems like the only solution is to upzone the fuck out of some of these places, you know? That's what Bellevue's annexation is for. That's why I'm a big advocate for it. Bellevue is a blight and should not exist. Nuh-uh. No, sir. Density is the issue. Yeah, a bunch of upzoning could be done in places like Soto. You could probably upzone the fuck out of Queen Anne and be fine. I don't think you could upzone Leshy or the Central District without people getting, like, really mad at you, though. I feel like people would get really upset with you over that. Yeah, I don't know. But we have to build more. We have to build more. What's upzoning? You take areas where you're only legally allowed to build single-family homes or other relatively, like, small, inefficient residences, and you change the rules so that you can build big apartment buildings there. You know? Got to build some dikes and polders. Unfortunately, the Puget Sound is really deep. It's like 900 feet deep over here. I don't think we could do that. Lake Washington isn't too deep. Maybe we should just get rid of Lake Washington. We just have to... Katie Wilson needs to personally man a bunch of dump trucks bringing soil over to Lake Washington until slowly, bit by bit, we merge with Mercer Island. And then we invade. Israeli-style settler program to take over Bellevue. You mean Seattleites start, like, setting up encampments on the outer edges, like over here in Medina, and Katie Wilson, in response to attacks of stochastic terror against the Seattle residents, starts building fortifications here and slowly, but I don't know. I feel like that's not the worst idea that I've heard. That's not bad. Bellevue was promised Seattle 3,000 years ago. You could probably upzone this entire district, Madison Park, and be just fine. These people all play golf. Look at these fucking houses from above. They all play golf. Isn't this where fucking Bruce Harrell lives or something? In this area? He's somewhere on Lake Washington. He's somewhere over here. Yeah, look, there's a golf club right here. How big is Lake Washington? Yay big? Not even big apartments, just townhouse apartments in SFH areas would massively increase density. Yeah, for the most part, the city has been upzoning like that. I don't remember Seattle's layout street by street, unfortunately, but there are a lot of places, for example, in Capitol Hill, where what used to be single-family development was replaced with, like, blocks of townhomes. We can probably find that pretty easily. Like, these four right here are probably... are they? I'm actually not sure. Hold on. Like, here's single-family home zoning, and if I could find... Ah, there we go. Like this right here. On the plot of land that would have otherwise been one single-family home, you make, like, 4 or 5 little, like, 3-story townhomes. See? A lot of Seattle already allows for that, but, you know, has to be ramped up. Isn't there abandoned industrial areas to redevelop? Yeah, but nobody wants to live in fucking Soto. Nobody wants to live down here. Look at this. It's all car dealerships and like I don't know, like tiling supply warehouses. It's not really a place people want to live. Dude, Soto can be so good. Okay, where would you build the Soto Town Center, okay? You know what? My recommendation, Beacon Hill. That's the first place that's getting upzoned, okay? Look at all this. What the hell is this? Why is everything on a perfect grid, but then you just slam like 5 or 6 houses in each block? I don't get it, okay? Bam, giant apartment building. Bam, giant apartment building. Go for it. It doesn't have any of the organic street design that you get over in parts of Capitol Hill that makes it look all like messy and stuff, you know? This is some City Skylines ass shit. Dog, City Skylines is a game about planning a city. That's... You have so much space to reorganize in Soto. I think one of the other big limitations is that the further south you go, more into Soto and stuff, the more noise you're going to get, both from the stadiums and also from the air path, right? Because all flights that land in SeaTac come in from the north, and they land here. So I'm thinking that the farther south you go, like these houses right here are being fucking buffeted 24/7 by loud ass airplanes. It makes me wonder. I also think it's softer ground. Is it? I don't know anything about that. Extra soundproofing for buildings isn't that expensive? No, I suppose not, but it's still kind of disruptive if you're like walking around, because planes land every couple of minutes. You know, SeaTac's a big airport. It's like it's the main airport hub for the Northwest. Yeah. Anyway, there is room to upzone. Seriously, in terms of like developed parts of Seattle, parts that have already been upzoned, this is pretty much it. This chunk right here, everything that isn't in this big, highly developed chunk right here can be upzoned. And this over here, the University District. And UW! What about Queen Anne? How many buildings in Queen Anne are like more than a couple stories? You have like one road, and it's Queen Anne Boulevard, you know? Yeah, Queen Anne Avenue North, right here. That's the one place where some of these buildings are larger. Look at that giant parking lot. At the university, actually, this parking lot is, believe it or not a big deal. Because it's hard to tell via the air. This parking lot is actually like invisible from the university. This line right here raises it raises the terrain by like 30 feet. This road. So if you're here, you can't see anything past this tree line. So you can go around the university, do. You're never being distracted by this, you know? It's just the parking lot around the track and the athletic fields and stuff. So it's actually pretty well designed. However, I agree that it looks like shit from space. Ballard is pretty barren. Yeah, but the people there are rich. They'd get mad if you upzone their shit. This is all part of Seattle as well. It's like up to here, you know? Ballard, Fremont. You know what Fremont needs? Anyone who lives in Seattle will agree with me, by the way. This is a fact. You know what Fremont needs? More parking lots. I'm not joking. I can't believe I'm saying it, but Fremont needs more parking lots, okay? They have way the fuck too many events up here, like their goddamn, you know, weekly Sunday markets. They have no parking lots anywhere in all of Fremont. So the only way to park anywhere is to find a residential parking spot that somebody has left open naively and then steal it from them. It's the only way. Take public transit. Oh, wouldn't that be nice if there was a transit line that went up to Fremont? Sadly, no. There is no link line that runs up here. Soto housing was a big fight earlier this year in the Port of Seattle. Got it killed for now. The Port of Seattle. Soto could be cool. Isn't there a neighborhood in near Soto that's pretty nice, like South Park or whatever? Where's South Park? Or is it Georgetown? What am I thinking of? Georgetown. Georgetown has some nice stuff, including a really nice Spanish restaurant. Where is it? Where is it? It also has the best vintage store in the city. No, this is all the Boeing stuff. Am I thinking of Georgetown? Love, where's the where's the Spanish restaurant? Is that in Georgetown or South Park? Where are we? Hello? It is Georgetown? Okay, wait, where is it? I should be able to find it from space. Come on. Yeah, South Park's down here. So get it? Because it's south of Georgetown? That's why they called it that, I bet. Type shit. Everyone here works for Boeing. Where's that Spanish place? They're not showing the restaurants, man. It's somewhere over here. Also the best carniceria in Seattle? No, that's in West Seattle, isn't it? I ran off the 5. Right, you take the 5 exit, and then you're here, and then you take an immediate right onto Bailey. So it should be... Ciudad, there it is. There it is. This is my recommendation. If you're in Seattle. Okay? Ciudad? Great place. Great place. And also, yeah, right next to my my very, very favorite thrift store. Where the fuck is that? Where the fuck is that? That's right here. Vintage Barn Owl Vintage Goods. Hell yeah. Okay, sorry. I'm getting way distracted. Yeah, the vibes in the restaurant are excellent. The vibes there are stellar. Is it near a highway? Yeah, but it doesn't feel like it when you're there. Not to be confused with Blue Owl. No, that is confusing, but Blue Owl is not a vintage shop, okay? And you will not be paying vintage prices there. Nor will you be paying vintage prices here, to be honest with you. It's all curated. Anyway, let's just put the rest of the acceptance speech in the bag.
Everyone has the basics of a dignified life, including healthy food, access to health care, and supportive communities. I want a city where your health and your life expectancy and your children's future doesn't depend on your zip code or your race. I believe that I will be stepping into office with a strong mandate to pursue this vision. I believe it is notable that all of that money focused on attacking me, but not my vision or platform. And that is because this vision and platform are supported by an overwhelming majority of Seattle residents, as demonstrated by the resounding victories of the other progressive candidates running for office in Seattle this year. Collectively, I believe we will be stepping into office with a strong mandate to tackle the affordability crisis, meaningfully address homelessness, and build a city for working people.
Why the
There's
fuck?
something that I've said repeatedly throughout this campaign. I am a community organizer, and I will not stop being a community organizer when I step into the mayor's office. I can lead from inside City Hall, but as a community organizer, I know how absolutely vital is leadership and organizing and movement building from the outside. And I intend to govern in a way that creates opportunities for that organizing, that encourages and responds to it. To the people of Seattle, I say, what I am able to actually accomplish in office will depend on you. It will depend on the support and the pressure and the people power that you all are able to build in the months and the years ahead. It's your work and your initiative that will continue to drive our city and our society forward. When I say this is your city, that means that you have a right to be here and to live a dignified life, whatever your background and whatever your income. But it also means that we all have a collective responsibility for this city and for each other. And to all those who opposed my election and are skeptical of my leadership, you know who you are. There are many of you. I'm very aware that there is anxiety and fear in some circles. I say, tough luck, it looks like you're gonna have to deal with me. Joking. I say, this is your city too. I'm a coalition builder. I know that we are in this together, and we cannot tackle the major challenges facing our city unless we do it together. I will be a mayor for everyone. I will listen, and
One thing that works to our benefit is that, unlike Mamdani, it's basically impossible to make her seem scary, you know? Like, people who have been attacking her have mostly been doing so with accusations of incompetence. She's just a very not scary person, you know? Like, she comes across as... I'm not saying this to insult her. I think it's, like, a particular rhetorical style. Kind of, you know, like, nervous, little skittish, you know? What I really hope she's able to develop is, like, a main character persona now that she's mayor, because she needs to make these messages stick in people's minds. It's not enough to just have the right positions. You have to brand them. I mean, branding is the name of the game. You have to be the main character, you know? She's gonna have to fight against a lot of people. A lot of local interests. I literally just saw this while scrolling the feed. This is not like planned. I didn't know about this until exactly 8 seconds ago. In a suburb of Seattle between Microsoft and Issaquah HQs, Sammamish, the city council proposed a plan for a 4,000-unit town center, and all got wiped out because of it. The NIMBY interests, man. The NIMBY interests. This isn't actually a part of Seattle, clearly. This is to the east of Bellevue, so it's in the greater metropolitan area. But this sentiment is common nonetheless. These people got wiped out because the fucking boomer NIMBYs nearby were devastated by the idea of having to share their neighborhood with new people. Shit like this is why I don't care for local control over things, TBH. Past a point, you really do start to appreciate why Lenin just started, you know, why the Soviet Union abandoned local control entirely and just started telling towns what to do. Because if you let the locals decide, you're going to get idiotic outcomes every time.
I will learn, and although we may not always agree, I am absolutely committed to working together whenever and wherever we can for the good of the city and for all of its residents. And I know, especially in the challenging times that we are in, how important partnerships will be, not just within Seattle, but with King County and throughout Washington State and beyond. I am so looking forward to working in close collaboration with all of our city council members and our new city attorney, with our incoming King County executive, Gurmai Zahalai, with Governor Bob Ferguson and Attorney General Nick Brown, and so many others, as we work to improve the quality of life in our city and state and protect our residents from federal overreach. As a progressive and as a socialist, I believe in good governance. Our government is how we act collectively.
Fun fact, NIMBYs have no power over federal land. You can't build new developments over federal land. I mean, you could, but what would that be like logistically? It would be on federal land, not part of the local city. Like, the federal government would be like extending construction into its own land adjacent to it can't really work that way. Federal land is designated for specific, for specific purposes. Really, it's just about what we need is a can-do culture in this country. We need momentum. We need energy. This country used to be, look, for all the faults of our national ancestors, this country used to have a hell of a lot more can-do spirit. We can move west. Not saying it was good, but they did think they could, and they could. We can build up. We can build the Empire State Building in 18 months or whatever. We can do lots of stuff. Nowadays, everybody just, like, the most bold vision people seem to have for the future is maybe we can keep things the same. It's fucking pathetic, The most ardent America lovers are planting their feet in the ground and being like, maybe if we're okay with accepting a bunch of compromises, we can just keep things as they were. Maybe we can go back. Like, it's ridiculous,
We accomplish the things that can only be done together. I believe that our city should be able to tackle big challenges and take on big, ambitious projects. And I believe it is a very bad thing when people begin to lose faith in the ability of their government to be responsive and effective and to deliver results for its constituents. I look forward to working alongside all of the dedicated public servants.
Can native reservations be expanded to make up the entire country? Buddy, I got bad news for you. If upzoning is what you want, you should take a look at the average, let's say, level of zoning development in a native reservation, okay? Got a solid, what are we looking at here? Person per square acre? Not exactly what we want to replicate in our cities.
Work for the city of Seattle.
Square
not just
acre.
To advance a transformative policy agenda, but to make sure that we are delivering basic services, communicating with constituents, working collaboratively with every single neighborhood around the city, and building that faith and trust in government that is so essential and yet so rare in our times. Now, I know that everyone is eager for information about our transition process and the team that we are building for the mayor's office. I will have some specifics to share next week, but for now, I just want to express my profound gratitude to the folks who kicked into gear right after the primary election to ensure that we could hit the ground running with a smooth transition. I'm not going to name them all because I don't actually know if they want to be named, but I do want to particularly thank
Thanks
my
for
colleagues
respecting
in this
my anonymity,
pre-transition
Katie.
phase, Ryan Watt and Kate Brunette-Cruiser. I am so excited about the work ahead and grateful to everyone, including the many people who did not support my campaign, who are reaching out now, wanting to help and to ensure that the Wilson administration is successful. I am not too proud to accept advice and assistance, and I know that together, despite the massive challenges ahead, we are going to make great progress over the next 4 years. This is your city, and I look forward to serving you as your next mayor. Thank you.
I really like her.
Yeah,
We should be proud of this, man. Again, I know, like, I'm playing it up a little bit as a joke, but it's pretty inarguable, at least very strong chance that the small margin by which she won is attributable to the work of PV in this community. You know, it's not like a unrealistic thing to say. It's actually more likely than not at these margins. You know, we got to take credit.
first of all, congratulations. Marty Salisbury of Virgin Media. Central District of Seattle black communities are primarily who we report to, although everybody appreciates our reporting. You flipped a lot of votes in Seattle Central District, in South End, especially black votes, black voters who last election voted for Mayor Harrell. They said that they see promise in you. I know you met with a lot of different groups across Seattle's black community. As close to this election is, that black vote very well might be a difference maker here. What's your commitment now moving into office to follow up with these different black organizations and groups and communities that you met with?
Great question. And, you know, going back to what I said about I'm a community organizer, those relationships, we're going to continue building them, right? And I think you'll see that my mayor's office is going to have a really strong orientation toward not just waiting for people to come to us, because it's the people with the most resources and the most power that, you know, have the ability to come to City Hall. We're going to be out there. We're going to follow up with all of the people, all the organizations that we talked with during the campaign, and more that we didn't get to. And we're going to be making sure that everyone has a voice in City Hall, and we're going to work together on the priorities of the black community and other communities around the city that often have felt in the past like they haven't had a voice.
There are black people in Seattle? No, I kid. Really, though, the redlining in Seattle is so fucking bad. Anyone who's lived here can tell you. There are, like, no black people anywhere in Queen Anne, Capitol Hill, whatever, right? Anywhere north of the line. The line is Rainier Boulevard. On Rainier Boulevard and in the neighborhoods like directly adjacent to it, like Judkins and to the south parts of Beacon Hill and stuff like that, that's like it's all the black and all of the like South Asian people, you know, a lot of Muslims, stuff like that. It's insane how packed in they are, you know. It's an incredibly, like, I would love to see a neighborhood by neighborhood racial makeup polling. Why is your redlining so bad? Honest to God, no clue. I don't know. I'm sure there's some historical reason for it. For example, the Judkins area is also known as Little Africa Town. And the crosswalks there are painted in the Pan-African flag colors. So I'm going to guess that the Judkins area has probably been black for a long time, you know? There are a bunch of like black community centers there. They have black historical figures that are painted on electrical boxes. That's probably been like that for a while. Now, I don't know whether it's always been like that with Rainier, you know? No clue. Little Africa Town's insane. No, it's like Chinatown or like little, you know, like little Bangkok, like cities usually have, you know what I mean? They can't call any of Seattle Chinatown or Japantown because that'd be half the city, right? So, you know, yeah, Little Italy, stuff like that, you know?
There were at least 3,500 undervotes for mayor, meaning nobody voted for you or Mayor Harrell. What does that say about this campaign, and what do you say to those voters who left that spot blank?
I mean, I can only guess at the motivation of those voters, but I would imagine that they're people who were not thrilled with Mayor Harrell's leadership.
Oh, there is data. Hold on. Major race key. So blue is white, orange is Hispanic. Good luck finding that. Red is Asian, and green is black. Oh yeah, there we go. Perfect. Yeah, there's Rainier. This road right here that's running diagonal. That's Rainier. Here's Chinatown / International District. Obviously, that's more Asian. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. But yeah, as you can see, they're all kind of like there's Asian people over here, and of course over here by UW. But in terms of the black population, it basically just follows Rainier, which is pretty crazy. We have a little Ethiopia and the food goes hard. That's true. There's also a great Seoul restaurant in Rainier about hereabouts, I think. Bellevue is all Asian. Yes. Yes, for sure. Look at that. My God. We need to annex them to get our diversity numbers up. Sheesh. What kind of Seoul? I don't know. It's been a while. Well, anyway, not a great situation.
But maybe also got the very loud message about my inexperience. And so maybe just didn't feel like they wanted to vote for either of us. So to them, I would say, well, you got to give me a chance now, and I hope I can prove to you that I'm up to the job. And yeah, you know, I hope to be able to prove that to those voters.
You spoke about surrounding yourself with a team. What kind of resume, experience, or background are you looking for both your transition team and your administration?
You know, I would say that for my administration, I think you're going to see a combination of folks who have long experience in City Hall, who know the ins and outs of the executive branch, and also some new blood, right? People who are coming in with the kind of perspective that I bring. I think you're also going to see a range of different interests represented, and we'll have more to announce in the next few weeks.
We have 2 questions left, guys. I saw Conan over here first.
You said you spoke to Mayor Harrell. Who else has reached out to you? Have you touched base with Governor Ferguson?
Governor Ferguson called and texted me to say congratulations, and haven't talked to him on the phone yet, but looking forward to connecting with him very soon. Yeah, many others as well.
And then Mayor-elect Wilson, I mean, you're inheriting quite the budget deficit. You have quite the proposal, quite the goals, the ambitions. Mm-hmm. We know that on the progressive side, we usually typically hear we're expecting taxes. What can we expect from you in your coming administration?
So I think, first of all, I am very committed to making sure that we're using our existing resources as effectively and efficiently as possible. So we're going to be reviewing the ways that the city is spending money, and I think we're going to have to do that given the size of the budget deficit. And I am not averse to ending spending on programs that were maybe well-intentioned when they were first implemented but aren't fulfilling their goals. So we're going to be doing the very best to be the best stewards of public resources we can. I do think that we will need to pursue new progressive revenue in order to fund our priorities and make sure that we're delivering services to the people of Seattle. You know, there's several progressive tax options I proposed as part of my platform, and so we're going to have city staff looking into developing those into legislation. Don't know yet exactly what the timeline's going to be on that.
Fuck.
That's all, folks. Appreciate it.
What have I done? Farewell, Katie. God bless you. So cool. Can't believe I'm mayor now. Washington doesn't have a state tax. We make up for it with an obscene sales tax, which is not great. There's a Vosh exception in the tax proposal. They literally mention you by name. You think they could carve out some kind of like live streaming specific exemption? Very, very small business. Very small business. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Hold on, let me clear all this. Well, we got to learn a lot about Seattle today. That was fun. Texas has the same tax scheme. Yeah, so not exactly something we want to model, right? Oh, man. One second. Are there any more interesting and novel noises you'd like to make from outside the studio, my love? Oh, very good, very good. Clan gang shit. Get out of here. Have you seen the Bill Clinton getting head from Trump Epstein email? No, I put it in my title to deceive you, to give you the impression that I knew about it when I don't. Really, though, we got a couple of other things to get to first. Quite important things as well. We've talked a little bit about how Trump's handling of the Epstein situation, the Epstein controversy, one might say, it might actually spell the downfall of MAGA. Right? Not because it's not obvious and not because it's not stupid, but because it's one of the few issues that Trump can't really navigate while attempting to look like the main character, you know? So, for example, Donald Trump just yesterday announced that he was unleashing a federal probe to investigate wrongdoing on the part of Democrats named in the Epstein emails. Essentially, every time reporters go up to Donald Trump and say, "Hey, what about these emails?" his response is, "Take a look at, take a look at Bill Clinton, take a look at everyone else, not me, not me." Essentially, that's the gist of it. I mean, here, just it's pathetic and desperate, and I don't think his base is really buying it either.
Attorney General Pam Bondi has chosen a prosecutor to investigate people and companies associated with Jeffrey Epstein, quickly obeying a public request from President Donald Trump. Bondi writes this, quote, "Thank you, Mr. President. SDNY U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton is one of the most capable and trusted prosecutors in the country, and I have asked him to take the lead," end quote. That in direct response to this announcement from President Trump, which came less than 4 hours before. The president wrote this, quote, "I will be asking AG Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice, together with our great patriots at the FBI, to investigate Jeffrey Epstein's involvement and relationship with Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman, JP Morgan Chase, and many other people and institutions." And
for one, this comes across as desperate, obviously, because if Trump was actually interested in investigating people's relationship to Epstein, why now, at the exact moment you would do it to deflect? And also, why oppose the release of the Epstein files? Trump's aware of the fact the Epstein files are almost certainly going to be released, or at the very least, the House is going to vote on their release, including a number of Republicans, and he's trying to preempt it desperately. I mean, he could have headed this off months ago, but at the end of the day, the way things are setting up, there's a non-zero possibility of him needing to veto the release of the Epstein files, which, Jesus Christ, right? Like, God, the optics. Oh my God. So nobody's really buying this. It's also kind of a faux pas, because the whole point of being implicated in the Jeffrey Epstein business is that the people who are implicated aren't supposed to rat on other people who are implicated. You get me? Like, the whole deal with Epstein is that if you went over to Little St. James and fucked kids or whatever, there was an implicit, I assume sometimes explicit, understanding that if you went to the police about it, you would just die. You would be killed, What else would be the point of the whole thing? What's the point of operating a gigantic, like, child sex trafficking / smuggling / blackmail network if there aren't consequences to, you want to ensure a kind of mutually assured destruction. That's the whole point. Well, otherwise, what would you... Now, Epstein's not around anymore, but Trump just like randomly tossing out players is probably not going to lead to anything. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if within the FBI they're just writing these orders off immediately. I mean, what are they supposed to do with them? Actually start investigating the whole Epstein crisis, unwinding that knot? That would just come back to Trump. There's no way around it. What are they going to do? Get every single investigator and every single prosecutor involved in it? To like selectively curate the information that they obtain? Nothing works this way. It's not possible. Nothing is going to happen here. It's just a last second attempt to deflect. Notably, these aren't even charges being directed, okay? This is Trump directing Bondi directing the FBI to investigate. Or in other words, they've passed the buck like 3 times down. Shit ain't happening. Yeah, look into it. Look into it. Now, with that being said, there is a more immediate, more impressing, or more pressing social consequence. Donald Trump has officially unendorsed Marjorie Taylor Greene, his loudest sycophant. I am withdrawing my support and endorsement of Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene of the great state of Georgia. Over the past few weeks, despite my creating record achievements for our country, including a total and complete victory on the shutdown, closed borders, low taxes, no men in women's sports or transgender for everyone, ending DEI, stopping Biden's record-setting inflation, biggest regulation cuts in history, stopping 8 wars, rebuilding our military, being respected by every country in the world as opposed to being the laughingstock that we were just 12 months ago, having trillions of dollars record-setting, invest in the USA, having created the hottest country anywhere in the world from being a dead country 12 months ago. All I see wacky Marjorie do is complain, complain, complain. It seemed to all begin when I sent her a poll stating she could not run for senator or governor. She was at 12%. She didn't have a chance, unless, of course, she had my endorsement, which she wasn't about to get. She has told many people she is upset I don't return her phone calls anymore, but with 219 congressmen/women, 53 U.S. senators, 24 cabinet members, almost 200 countries, and an otherwise normal life to lead, I can't take a ranting lunatic's call every day. I understand that wonderful conservative people are thinking about primarying Marjorie in her district of Georgia, that they too are fed up with her and her antics, and if the right person runs, they will have my complete and unyielding support. She has gone far left, even doing The View with their low IQ Republican-hating anchors. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. I am not joking. I think this might actually be the end of MAGA. Marjorie Taylor Greene was Trump's biggest sycophant and like a hardliner for him, even when it was politically difficult for her. And if Donald Trump is willing to get rid of even people like this over the Epstein business, you know, look, most Republicans think that Donald Trump is mishandling the Epstein business, okay? That's not exactly a minority opinion within the party. If he's acting like this over, you know, what I would say are pretty moderate disagreement within the party, you're basically carving out a position where it is impossible to disagree with you on anything at any point, you know? I've said this multiple times, and I'll keep saying it, you know? Donald Trump can only reign as he has if he has undying loyalty from the Republican Party. The moment there's infighting within the party, all of this falls apart. And it seems like, to a large extent, all the excuses that his base has had for why he hasn't made America good have fallen apart. In the first presidential term, it was because neocons were impeding all of his agenda items. But now that nobody's impeding him, he's the one doing everything. He has basically unlimited power. He's been able to do whatever he wants, regardless of the law, regardless of the Constitution. And what's happened? Nothing. Most people remember from the past year are tariff debacles, you know, whiplashing back and forth, and the Epstein business. That's what people remember. Everything's gotten more expensive. Nobody's happy with where the economy is right now. If anything, things are more unstable than ever, right? Even in recent memory. I mean, most people around remember COVID pretty well. I would say that that's probably the closest memory they have to this degree of economic instability. Except there is no pandemic this time. It's just Trump. And there's no excuse. There aren't any neocons impeding his agenda that he can, you know, point at. Marjorie Taylor Greene has responded, and I genuinely think she's going to win out in the PR war here, you know? I know I don't really know or care about, like, I'm not really that invested in her turnabout arc, you know? I think that for a while now, there have been sharks circling Trump, waiting for the sign that he's going to break, you know? And after the 2024 election, a bunch of Republicans were like, fuck, I guess we're with him for a while now. They probably assumed Kamala Harris was going to win, and if she did, they could tear Trump apart. If Trump had lost in 2024, the Republicans would have torn him apart. Within a year, they would have had like a new group of headliners. They know perfectly what, like, the Republican Party isn't going to attach themselves to a dying ship forever. They're not going to sink with the ship forever. They know that past a point they're going to have to move on. But after Trump won in 2024, they're stuck with him. They're stuck with him for another 4 years. But if this is how things are going down, and a lot of Republicans look like they're going to be defecting on the Epstein vote anyway, they're looking for an out, you know? From Marjorie Taylor Greene. Trump just attacked me and lied about me. I haven't called him at all, but I did send these text messages today. Look at a second. Apparently, this is what sent him over the edge. The Epstein files. Texting DJT. I wonder who that is. Check the flight logs of Epstein's plane. Bill Clinton is on there like 26 times. Hillary too. For many of us, releasing the Epstein files has always been for the women who are victims of Epstein, but also because we believe Democrat bad guys like the Clintons were entangled and involved with him. Epstein was the spider that wove the web of the deep state. Lean into it. The Jeffrey Epstein hoax. In every single interview I've done to defend President Trump, I said over and over the women say he did nothing wrong and their attorney says he's the only one who helped, and the Democrats had 4 years to release the files but did nothing. Stop ignoring the women. He texts like that? No, this is, wait, Natalie, who's Natalie H? One of his handlers, right? Stop ignoring the women. Many of them literally voted for President Trump and said so publicly. Them being raped as teenagers is not a hoax. Natalie Hitler. Natalie Hitler. Thank you. Yes. One of the handlers, she writes his tweets and stuff. So Trump didn't reply to this? Deputy Communications Director. Thank you. You can really tell from the way that Marjorie Taylor Greene is framing this that she's trying to like this is the nicest possible way that you could appeal to Donald Trump on this, you know? Like there's basically no way you can interpret Trump's response to something like this as anything other than an acknowledgement that he's in the files and he's aware of the fact that it would sink him, even more than he's already been sunk, you know? How else do you interpret this if he's responding negatively to this? She implied Israel is the reason he's so protective about the Epstein files. Good! This is exactly the kind of incoherent, lunatic, psycho, vaguely anti-Semitic shit that she's always been known for, but now it's being directed against the president. I'm telling you guys, the future of the MAGA movement, if there is a MAGA movement, the future of the Republican Party is deeply anti-Semitic, anti-Israel, lunatic populist. Not just Trump-aligned populist, but like lunatic populist. And like militantly white nationalist, right? And Trump keeps getting in the way of that because Trump is not nasty enough to Israel. Trump is also not really a white nationalist. He's racist, but he's not like, you know, ideologically Nazi. This is the direction the party's headed in. You know, you've got lots and lots and lots of young Republicans who are leaning in on this direction. There's no future for being positive about Israel. There's no future for being blasé about the Epstein files. You get me? Anyway. And of course, he's coming after me hard to make an example to scare all the other Republicans before next week's vote to release the Epstein files. It's astonishing, really, how hard he's fighting to stop the files from coming out. Now, that actually goes to this level. Really, most Americans wish he'd fight this hard to help forgotten men and women of America who are fed up with foreign wars and foreign causes and are going broke trying to feed their families, are losing hope of ever achieving the American dream. That's what I voted for. I've supported Trump with too much of my precious time, too much of my own money, and fought harder for him even when all the other Republicans turned their backs and denounced him. I don't worship or serve Donald Trump. I worship God. Jesus is my savior. District Georgia 14 and the American people. Yeah. Right. Incredible stuff, truly. But you do understand how this is a dynamic that favors her, right? Again, it's main character syndrome stuff. It's main character syndrome stuff. There is no main character status in trying to hide the Epstein files. That makes you the antagonist. Spit that shit, white trash crane. Yeah. Unfortunately, the Democrats right now are set up to lose to people like Marjorie Taylor Greene in 2028 unless they shift very anti-Israel, you know? Basically, the future of this country politically is tied up in populism and being anti-Israel. There's really no, like, Marjorie Taylor Greene as a presidential candidate would probably win over, like, Pete Buttigieg in 2028. She doubled down, lol. Yeah, because she's anti-H-1B visa, whereas Trump has been pro-H-1B visa. Again, all of the stuff that Marjorie Taylor Greene is fighting over Trump with right now is about her being a better populist, more anti-Israel, more white supremacist, more pro-American, you know, more release the Epstein files. They all fall along the same lines. But how does MAGA win a fight against that? You know, becoming the deep state? Rhetorically, it just doesn't work. I'm voting no on the Epstein hoax. The ratio in this post should serve as the ultimate warning to all my Republican colleagues. You vote no on Tuesday to release the Epstein files and face severe outrage from America. If she moves, she could be a senator. Yeah, she secured her position pretty well. Look at all this, man. Good morning. I want to thank everyone who texted and posted and commented support for me. You're all so kind, and I appreciate, love, and support you too. I never thought fighting to release the Epstein files, defending women who were victims of rape, and fighting to expose the web of rich, powerful elites would have caused this, but here we are, and it speaks for itself. There needs to be a new way forward. Again, I don't think she's being authentic here. Like, everyone already knew Trump was an Epstein-associated rapist. You'd have to be so deep in the sauce to not believe that. Though, honestly, she's so stupid, she might still be in that. You know, it's kind of hard to say. I don't really know. Who knows? It's irrelevant either way. Like, this isn't about being anti-rape. Republicans are all pro-rape and pro-pedophilia. She's just rebranding, and I think she's doing so at a very smart time. I'm now being contacted by private security firms with warnings for my safety as a hotbed of threats against me are being fueled and egged on by the most powerful man in the world, the man I supported and helped get elected. Look, I'm really in favor of her, like, driving the knife and twisting into the MAGA movement. However, and I mean this very seriously, Democrats are going to have a really, really tough time beating this unless they shape the fuck up. Really tough time, you know? The resurgent power of a hyper-populist right, stupider even than the MAGA coalition that turned on MAGA for not being populist enough, that's the real death cult. We've been saved many times over by the fact that Donald Trump is not anywhere near as far right as his base is. That he's mostly just, you know, self-centered, narcissistic, megalomaniacal, but not, you know, a white nationalist. You do not want a national figurehead who is as crazy as the people who advocate for him. You know, you do not want a fucking Groyper president. She's piling it on. I now have a small understanding of the fear and pressure the women who are victims of Epstein and his cabal must feel. As a Republican who overwhelmingly votes for President Trump's bills and agenda, his aggression against me, which also fuels the venomous nature of his radical internet trolls, many of whom are paid, this is completely shocking to everyone. My phone is blowing up with constant amazing support. I'm so thankful. The political industrial complex and the violent, toxic nature of American politics must end. Oh, I don't know. The Epstein vote's going to be fucking crazy, man. It's going to be really, 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 really crazy. Smart of her to connect her intimidation to the Epstein victims? Yeah, genuinely. I wonder if, considering how odious her reputation has been in the past, it makes me wonder if this is, like, enough to re-legitimize her. What is this? Oh my god, Laura Loomer's new surgery? Laura Loomer's new surgery? Oh my fucking god. I'm so sorry. This is like... This has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Refugees even...
Is this not, like, face edited? She jawbogs me. That's why I keep the beard on. This has to be edited. There's no way. There's no I don't believe this is real. I don't believe this is real. It can't be. As funny as that would be. She looks like Buzz Lightyear. I opened the link up and it was shocking. Absolutely shocking.
Breaking up turns out not so hard to do. President Trump has declared he is officially pulling his endorsement of MAGA firebrand Marjorie Taylor Greene. The Georgia Congresswoman has been demanding the release of the Epstein files and has criticized the president for spending too much time abroad. The president, well, has apparently heard enough, posting on Truth Social overnight that all wacky Marjorie Taylor Greene does is complain, complain, complain.
I think that her constituents aren't going to be happy. Already, I have people calling me. They want to challenge her to a race in her district in Georgia. And, you know, that's too bad. She's lost a wonderful conservative reputation. But when she says, don't go overseas, if I didn't go overseas, we might be in a war right now with China.
Meanwhile, President Trump is also...
Seriously, like, again, this is a saving grace, right? The MAGA line, hyper-nationalists, no more foreign wars, no H-1B visas, etc., etc. Like, obviously, Trump doesn't give a shit about any of this. Trump can't be an isolationist because it would deny him the ability to try to aura farm with other countries. Trump likes being praised by the Saudis too much to actually be an isolationist, you know? I kind of shudder at the idea of a Republican Party that's insane enough to deliver on these promises. It would not be good for anyone.
That with Congressman Thomas Massie, who also wants the Epstein files released. A Trump-aligned super PAC is spending $1 million on ads targeting the Kentucky Republican. Massie says his...
Oh, yeah, by the way, Donald Trump engaged in what we call a stellar play. He ulted the other day and said Thomas Massie's wife must be laughing at what a loser he is. Didn't his wife just die? Like, recently? Like, last year? So Thomas Massie might be double voting yes on the release of the Epstein files. Oh yeah, here we go. Thank you. Did Thomas Massie, sometimes referred to as Rand Paul Jr. because of the fact he always votes against the Republican Party, get married already? Boy, that was quick. No wonder the polls have him at less than an 8% chance of winning the election. Anyway, have a great life, Thomas, in question mark. His wife will soon find out she's stuck with a loser. Bro's gonna show up with 70 alts. Thomas Massie with suspiciously 200 no votes on releasing the Epstein files, shaped bulge in his belly.
Constituents understand his position.
When they're protecting pedophiles, when they are blowing our budget, when they are starting wars overseas, I'm sorry.
Definitely makes the president look good, by the way, that all of his political energy right now is being directed towards attacking members of his own party over the Epstein files, you know? Yes, and Massie just remarried. Trump mocked Massie for moving on too fast. Oh, I see. Yeah, he's gonna bring in 73 yes votes.
I can't go along with that. And back home, people agree with
Can Democrats please attack too? Nah, because they're huge pussies. So again, like, it's fucking insane, but like, you take a look at Democrat media, and for the most part, like, just crickets. Some Democrats are attacking Trump over this, but
They understand, even the most ardent Trump supporters understand.
And President Trump has now ordered the Justice Department to investigate companies and Democrats who he claims had dealings with Jeffrey Epstein. And Attorney General Pam Bondi was quick to oblige, appointing the U.S. Attorney in Manhattan to handle that probe. Even though 4 months ago, the DOJ determined nothing in the Epstein files warranted further investigation. This week, the president's name turned up repeatedly in just released emails from the Epstein estate.
What did Jeffrey Epstein mean in his emails when he said you knew about the girls?
I know nothing about that. They would have announced that a long time ago.
A lot of moving parts on this story. We get more now from CNN senior justice correspondent Evan Perez.
Good morning, Danny. Attorney General Pam Bondi says that federal prosecutors in New York are being tasked to launch yet another investigation of people associated with child sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. This new investigation comes after President Donald Trump said that he was asking Bondi to investigate Epstein's ties to prominent Democrats. He named specific names, including former President Bill Clinton. Now, it's yet an extraordinary turn in a political mess that has consumed this White House for months. And it comes just days after Democrats had released emails from the late Epstein estate that mentioned Trump many times. Trump announced the directive in social media that accusing the Democrats of trying to revive attention to his past ties with Epstein and contending that they are, quote, using the Epstein hoax involving Democrats, not Republicans, to try to deflect from their own disaster.
Did you see where DJT stated that H-1B visa folks are more talented than Americans? Many folks are pissed off about that. Yeah, because Trump's a businessman and he likes cheap foreign labor, you know? The problem with the H-1B visas isn't that American workers are being replaced. I've met Americans. They're retarded. They probably deserve it, okay? The problem is that it means the H-1B visa workers are like work slaves, because if they get fired from their job, they also lose their fucking housing and get deported back to their home country, you know? So fixing that problem would also reduce the incentive to get H-1B workers, because the main reason corporations like to import them is because they like having work slaves, you know? Just get them on green cards or whatever.
To shut down and all of their other failures. Bondi responded to the president's social media post by thanking the president and saying that she'd have U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton in Manhattan lead this new investigation. This is the same office that led the earlier investigations of Epstein and of Ghislaine Maxwell, who worked for Epstein and was convicted of charges that she aided in the trafficking of girls. We should note that
H-1Bs are a wage suppression method. Yeah, look, I have nothing principally against them. The way they're like everything else in the economy, man. It's not a principal opposition to them. It's they are weaponized by corporations in a way that is socially harmful. You know, there are a million things that are like that. It's not specific to that to H-1B visas. Hold on, very, very, very important thing. 1 second. My love, could you make me a coffee? Like a coffee, not a double espresso? Thank you. I love you. That shirt looks great on you.
The Justice Department this summer did an assessment of documents that's in their possession, and they determined that there were no additional defendants that could be charged in crimes associated with Epstein. And this new investigation also means, though, that Congress will likely have to wait much longer for any documents to be released, because there's an effort right now gaining steam in the House to force the release of those documents. But during an ongoing investigation, the Justice Department...
God, remember this shit? When they were... Trump must have been so disgruntled back at this point when the Epstein stuff hadn't really come to head, when people underneath him were aura farming over the release of the Epstein files that he knew fully well would never be released. Just giving them the empty, but you can literally see they're empty. The empty binders full of extremely classified information. Epstein files, phase 1. Incredible shit, man. Have you seen Megyn Kelly defend pedophilia? Yes, I did a video on it last stream.
Generally doesn't release investigative files out of concern that it would harm any possible prosecutions. Danny?
All right, Evan Bettis, thank you very much for that reporting. For more on this, let's discuss the Epstein case and where it all may be headed with Stephen Newcomb. He's a congressional reporter for Axios. Stephen, thanks so much for waking up early to talk about a lot of developing things that happened overnight. Let's start here. This breakup between President Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene. Trump calling Greene a lunatic. It's all about Epstein, of course. What do you make of this?
I feel like I recognize this guy.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me. It certainly is about Epstein, but I actually think that the break between the president and Congresswoman Greene at this point is about more than just the Epstein files. I mean, if you go back to the middle of the shutdown, she was criticizing the president and Republicans for not having a plan to end the shutdown, for House Republicans not being in Washington.
He looks like somebody
not
named
having
Noah.
a health care plan to sort of counter what Democrats were proposing. So it's sort of all encompassing. But yeah, the breakup, it seems like this weekend has reached a new fever pitch, and Congresswoman Greene seems not to be in the good graces of President Trump anymore.
No, and that's well said. It really does feel like it's been a slow burn, certainly over the course of the shutdown, as you noted. What's interesting, Stephen, is we've seen this pressure campaign, though, ramp up this past week against Republicans who are supportive of
Xander Hall? He does look a little bit like Xander, that's true.
Of releasing the Epstein
Wendigoon
files.
even?
We think of
Yeah,
Lauren
I don't
Boebert,
know.
of course,
Maybe
Marjorie Taylor
this
Greene.
guy just has a very,
Greene said in her tweet last night, quote, "And of course he's coming after me. Hard to make another example to scare all the other Republicans before next week's vote to release the Epstein files. He's coming after me hard." That's what she's saying. Forgive me there. I guess my question to you, Stephen, is do you think this will scare any Republicans who are thinking about voting to release the Epstein files? Do you think this will scare them off from that vote next week?
I think it's going to do the opposite. Trump, obviously crashing out and abandoning some of his closest allies and loudest sycophants in a desperate effort to control the narrative makes him look really bad to his own party, you know? That does not... That doesn't look good. It does show weakness, 100%. It does show weakness, yeah.
Has not, at this point, it did not scare them from taking their names off the signature list of the discharge petition, which they needed to sort of circumvent House Republican leadership and Speaker Mike Johnson to get this to the floor. So we'll have to see next week if there is any change in the posture. But at least when the president was sort of making these calls, and in some cases even bringing, Congresswoman Boebert to the White House last week, it did not get them to take their names off of that discharge petition. And now that Congresswoman Grijalva, who was sworn in last week, signed on to that petition, those signatures are frozen. There's nothing that the president or House Republican leadership can do.
Mike Johnson might get ousted from this. Mike Johnson is the only House leader that could have managed Republicans under Trump, but his authority falls apart the moment the MAGA coalition does. Like, Senator Majority Leader Thune will survive Trump's fall, but Mike Johnson cannot. He's been too much of a sniveling little liar for the president. You know what I mean? He's been too much of a, like, massage everything over to get anything Trump wants done. Anything Trump says goes. But if people start turning on Trump, and we know, by the way, the moment there's a hint of a rebellion within the Republican Party, like people start really pushing back against Trump publicly, it's all going to fall apart very, very, very quickly. Trump is way too thin-skinned, too much of an ego. He's going to freak the fuck out. And there's going to be a civil war between Republicans who are fed up of his shit and Republicans who haven't been paying attention and think that Trump is the guiding light of the country and the only way to save the country is with Trump. And thank you so much. You're so beautiful. Coffee. And so on and so on. MTG and Massey aren't going anywhere. No, their stocks are going up right now.
To get them to take their names off or stop a vote from happening. So now you're sort of at the point where, yeah, you're trying to whip no votes from Republicans, and we'll have to see if the president and the speaker,
Vance and Johnson, are done too for their level of complicity. I think it probably fucks Vance quite a bit that he was this, you know, internet alt-right groiper epic based heckin' Tutorino fucking white nationalist guy, and then he just stood there and watched as Donald Trump said shit like, we need H-1B workers because there aren't good enough American workers, or you know, him backtracking on a bunch of immigration related stuff or whatever. Vance has been compromised by his adjacency to the president. It definitely doesn't help that Vance was literally like a Democrat up until 2016 and only became Catholic when it was time to run as Republican. There's so much about him that reeks as inauthentic, and I feel like it just piles up, you know? It piles up.
Are able to get any more Republicans on their side.
Last question for you, Stephen,
Indian
on
wife,
the Epstein story in particular. It seems like President Trump now going on the offense with this story, telling the DOJ to investigate Epstein's ties to other high-profile figures and Democrats. Isn't that just going to keep this subject in the news?
Certainly, and I think you've even heard, you know, some reporting this week that there's Republicans who have told the president that he's getting bad advice on the Epstein sort of saga, and yeah, this is going to prolong it. I do think
he's not getting bad advice. He personally doesn't want to release the files. You can tell there is a difference between when Trump personally wants or doesn't want something versus when he's just being a sound piece for another person. He's been very, very consistent on this for a year now. Every single time it comes up, he calls it a hoax. He blames everyone else for focusing on it. It's not direction that he's receiving. He personally doesn't want the files to come out. I doubt he even knows what's in the files. Why would Trump know what's in the big block of stuff the FBI collected? He doesn't have access to that information. And even if he did, what is he going to do? Personally verify it? He probably can't even use a computer. He doesn't know what the fuck are in the files. He knows for a fact there's probably a bunch of incriminating evidence on him out there and assumes that it's in the files, but I doubt he knows what the files are, how large they are, what they contain.
That, you know, it being an active investigation and not being able to release records because it's an active investigation is probably a feature and not a bug of this strategy. But yeah, the pressure campaign is going to continue to go on, and even if it gets through the House and the House passes it, that pressure campaign is just going to move to the Senate to put pressure on Senate Republicans, and particularly Senate Majority Leader John Thune to put.
Was it worth opening government for this vote? This vote would have happened when the government reopened no matter what. I think it would have, by the way, I think all of this would have been happening anyway, but much worse if the government had eventually been forced to reopen because of Trump. If they had eventually capitulated on this, you know, because then this vote would have happened in the wake of a massive backtracking from Trump. It would have been like compounding signs of weakness. No, it wouldn't. There was a deadline for the petition. Well, they could you know, reissue it. But wait, what was the deadline?
Bill on the floor in the Senate if it ends up passing the House.
All right. Well, before we go, I also want to make sure to ask you about healthcare and the shutdown. Meanwhile, the shutdown ending.
Jay Schlatt. That's who I was thinking he looks like. Thank you. I was thinking Noah Smith, but Noah Smith's that Zionist kid actor, right? Jay Schlatt. That's what I was thinking.
feeling like a million years ago now. Senate Democrats said they got Senate Republicans to promise a vote on health care, on these Affordable Care Act credits. Are we going to see Democrats continue to put pressure on Republicans, though, to keep this promise?
Oh, Noah Schnapp is the actor, is it? I don't know.
Well, certainly, and I think the first thing that they need to do is
Stranger Things.
Negotiate amongst each other about what that product looks like next month that they get a vote on the Senate floor. We reported last night that those conversations will include Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, Senator Ron Wyden, who is the top Democrat on the Senate Finance Committee, including some of the Democrats, the moderate Democrats that were involved in negotiations to reopen the government with Republican leaders earlier this month. So, they need to put together a package that they can get support, not just from their entire caucus, but, they need the 13, 14 Republican votes that it's going to take to pass this through the Senate in December. So they need to also start.
Where do you see this going for Trump? Genuinely, no idea. We're in the cool zone of American history. I don't think anyone has a clear read on what's going to happen with this one. It at the end of the day, it comes down to the Republican desire to have a Genghis Khan-like figure unite their barbaric tribes versus Republicans' innate love for pedophilia versus their frustration that the Khan has not been providing main character energy lately. It's a whole lot. Don't you think Pam reopened the investigation so the files can't be released due to the investigation itself? No, they're unrelated. Whatever the Epstein files are, they're not being referenced in the ongoing investigation. What happens if Republicans double down on Trump? Then his popularity keeps falling. Then they can't get anything done anymore. There are already holes in their coalition. People like Massey and Ryan, Rand, people like Marjorie Taylor Greene. His popularity is already underwater on basically every issue. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse over time. The government continues to stall out. I don't see this going good for them. Under any circumstances. It seems like it's pretty much guaranteed it goes poorly for them. It's really just a matter of how quickly and to what extent. Possible move to impeach? Nah, and who gives a fuck, man? So what, Vance becomes president? I don't give a shit about impeaching Trump. Who cares? Third time's the try. Third try is the charm. I don't know. I don't care. You think Trump would resign on his own? No. I don't want him to resign. What does his resignation look like, A rehabilitation party by Democrats for the Republicans? Oh, Republicans are... Finally, the Republican Party is back to its old self. They're good again. Now that Trump is gone, I don't know. Unfortunately, my desire for things to move forward is kind of contingent on my hope for the Democrats reaching a point where they can actually improve the country. If Trump is gotten rid of now, if he's removed or quits or is impeached or whatever, who's going to save the country? What's going to fix the country afterwards? Kamala Harris? What comes next? We need a good follow-up. It's not enough just to get rid of Trump. We need a good follow-up. Otherwise, you're going to get some, piece of shit, dickless governance that's going to accomplish nothing. And it goes right back to the Republicans. Marjorie Taylor Greene wins in 2032, She's got time. She's young. I forgot Biden was alive, lol. Yeah, we could bring him back. What if we run Mamdani? I think it's fucking pathetic that the only guy that feels like he's got some energy on the Democrats, or on the Democratic side, is a guy who, for all of America, only began existing the beginning of the year. It really sucks that he can't be president. No, it shouldn't matter, man, because there isn't just one Mamdani. There are hundreds of thousands of people in America who could be Mamdani. The Democratic Party is the problem. We were all Mamdani. I thought you said the country was on a death spiral and that any good president would just be a small diversion. That sounds like a wildly simplistic and reductive reading of something that I might have said in the past. What do you mean? You did say that? Then there's missing context. I would not have said that with no other information. What I might have said is that having a person like Pete Buttigieg or Gavin Newsom be a reprieve from Republican governance would do nothing to secure our country out of the death spiral. What you need is a broader coalition within the Democratic Party, both in Congress and in the presidency, in order to start addressing the fundamental problems. I think that sounds a little bit more like something that I would say. No, you even said if we had another FDR, it would only delay the end. I think you're lying. I would never say that a country's fate is predetermined. That's ridiculous. I remember it now. You said Kamala being the president would have just kicked the can down the road. Yeah, because that's Kamala. Do you guys not understand the difference between any Democrat being president and the right Democrat being president? If we get a bad Democrat in office, like Kamala Harris or Gavin Newsom or whatever, they're not going to do anything to improve these issues. They're not going to cement a legacy. They're not going to convince the American people that what they're offering is better than what the Republicans are offering. Literally no options apart from AOC. I don't think that AOC could do it. We understand, but the field's kind of empty of them right now. Then the field needs to open up. It's 3 years until the presidential election. 3 years. I'm pretty sure you said nothing would have changed much if Bernie had won 2016. Yeah, I don't think that with Congress being what it was, I don't think he could have gotten anything done, really. Like, 2016, having him as president certainly would have been preferable to having Trump as president. But, like, the powers that be would not have allowed him to do anything transformative enough, you know? It needs to be a broader momentum thing. The president on its own is not enough. There has to be a cultural change in the country. We call these material conditions. Yeah, you need a mandate. Chat totally forgets that in 2005, Obama wasn't even on the top 10 candidates for the 2008 primary. Yeah, and who were the top candidates for the 2016 primary back in 2013? Was Trump there? No, of course not. Guys, we're 3 years out from the presidency. And maybe we are stuck with somebody like Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom, in which case we all just have to suffer for a while longer. Sorry. Those presidential candidates, you might as well be throwing the ball over to the Republicans next time. Dem's going to run MTG in 28. Who knows? Maybe she'd be better than Gavin Newsom. You know? Yeah. All right. Let's cut this damn segment. Let me send this over to the editors. 1 second. Sent. It does piss me off, though, when people get fatalistic about, like, what we have to accept for presidential candidates 3 years before the next election. You know? That does piss me off. Remember there was someone a couple months ago crashing out over me saying that I wouldn't vote for Gavin Newsom for president in 2028? Being like, who else do we have? And it's like, but it's not even... We're more than 3 years out. What are you talking about, man? Why are you accepting the lowest common denominator now? That's insane. No political imagination whatsoever. Yeah, you're throwing so much to the Republicans there, too. Graham Plattner is better than Newsom. Marjorie Taylor Greene is... I could coin flip on her being better than Newsom. There are so few people that I hate more than these, like, inauthentic... Like, Gavin Newsom trying to pitch his tent over with the right by having favorable podcasts with Steve Bannon and Charlie Kirk less than a year ago. Like, this, he believes literally nothing. He's a fucking American Psycho character, you know? Maybe an authentic crazy would be better than that. Like, all of the real problems that we're experiencing right now come from a capitulation to global capital. Having a lunatic far-right person who's anti-global capital might actually end up being less destructive than somebody who keeps kowtowing to them over and over and over again. Trust me, there's nothing Marjorie Taylor Greene could intentionally do that would be worse for humans than the unintentional consequences of Gavin Newsom continuing to capitulate to capital. The global financial crash, much, much worse for everyone. Yes, it would depend on how sincerely anti-global capital they are. Trump, for example, is not anti-global capital at all, so, you know. You know, you get what you get. Please stop saying 3 years. It is 3 years. Well, anyway. What do we have? Yes, I saw the WOPE having dinner with 5 trans people. That's pretty based. And a trans activist during a Vatican celebration marking Jubilee of the Poor. J.D. Vance killed the WOPE, and they got an even WOPer WOPE. Insane. That's a funny way of saying this. Nobile said she interprets, or Nobile probably, says she interprets Pope Leo's lack of public comment on transgender matters as encouraging rather than discouraging. They say silence is consent, Nobile said. I'd like to imagine that she said that with like a sort of sarcastic, biting tone, but I can't read that from the text. I'm sure that Pope Leo shares Francis's work and is just waiting for the right moment to embrace our reality. Pause. Yeah. Why doesn't this news article use tone indicators? Honestly, I've always been saying that we need them, especially when they're, you know, transcribing queer people, right, into text, because you have no idea how they said it. According to Politico, from just 3 days ago, Republicans expecting mass defections and Epstein vote. Somebody linked me a Zateo article where they claimed, or they were referencing something said by Ro Khanna, who's been one of the more militant Democrats on the Epstein business, that he's confident at least 50 Republicans will be voting in favor of the release of the Epstein files when the vote is held. When is the vote being held again? Is it on Wednesday? It's this week. It's this coming week. When is what day is it again? It's Tuesday. That'll be a banner day. I'll have to wake up early for that one. Bring some popcorn. It's going to be a good day. I believe so. I believe so. Ro Khanna 50 Republicans. Senior Republicans privately believe dozens of Republicans will vote for it, possibly 100 or more. Jesus Christ. I wish anonymous voting was a thing. Or I wish, not anonymous voting, but like nobody knows who everyone else is voting for until every vote is counted, you know? Everyone keep your eyes closed when you raise your hand. That article you referenced? Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a Zateo account. I probably should get one of those, though. Zateo is pretty neat. But no, I don't have a Zateo account, so I can't look through the article. 50 Republicans may be set to join Ro Khanna, Thomas Massie, and Democrats in voting to release the Epstein files. But as you can see here, I'm being bullied by Zateo by being told that the post is for paid subscribers only. That's awful. What the fuck? I know. I know. Subscribe. I will. 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 Okay? Mediasan himself is screaming at you. I wonder how he's doing. You know, this Epstein files business always felt to me like kind of innately unserious. Not that it's not a big deal. It is. But it's just so stupid. How do you talk about that if you're Mediasan? You know, how do you cover that without feeling like a goofball, you know? Not much on it. Not much on it. We need the Mediasan pedophile diss track drop. Vosh, ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, okay? It's absolutely ridiculous. The President of the United States is known, for decades now, known to be a close friend, publicly friends with the world's most notorious pedophile. And everyone's been dragging their feet over a reconciliation with this. Like, lots and lots and lots of people have always known that Trump's a pedophile. Like, it's not hidden information. It's not a conspiracy. It's pretty obvious. And now only now it's really becoming like a public issue bubbling up because what? We received more information in addition to all the existing information. It's stupid. The vote won't be secret because of Dems. Ah, okay, great. Average Republican response to finding out about the Epstein emails. I'm not Israeli, not Jewish, etc., and I just don't give a fuck about the Epstein files. I really don't care if Trump's a rapist, pedophile, or a murderer, even though I believe he's not. Yeah, that sounds about right. I appreciate the honesty, at least. Those people were considered conspiracy theorists and banned from all platforms? No, they weren't. Who was banned from anywhere for saying Trump was a pedophile? I've been saying Trump's a pedophile for literally my entire streaming career, and I've never gotten so much as even slightly in trouble. There's no litigation you can take against a person who calls Trump a pedophile. There's so much evidence that you can use. You will never ever fail to pass the what's it called? The standard of malice for potential slander against public figures. What is it again? Malicious something. What is it called again? Actual malice. The actual malice standard. Thank you. NYT did catch and kill a story connecting Trump to Epstein in 2015 from a bunch of the victims. Well, sure, right, because the New York Times is itself a pedophile rag and probably staffed largely by pedophiles and Zionists, but I repeat myself. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't surprise me at all. But that's not the same as getting, like, you know, sandbagged by social media. For the most part, it's always been, you know, it's always been something that you can go after people for. I hate the New York Times. Have you been seeing, like, Dershowitz is still on the fucking warpath? Epstein's strongest soldier? I mean, that's not even a joke. He was Epstein's strongest soldier. He was his lawyer. Epstein's and Israel's strongest soldier. Gotta get a new keyboard, man. Dude, I'm actually running out. I can't type anything on my keyboard. It's actually quite quite distressing. I'm gonna have to like type it. I'm gonna have to get like an on-screen keyboard, and oh my, wait, it's not typing anything. Okay, there we go. There we go. Just get a mechanical. Shut the fuck up. Jesus Christ. I moved the keyboard as close as possible to my computer.
Well, let me give you an example. 10 minutes before you went on, the predecessor on your show described Jeffrey Epstein as a convicted pedophile. He pleaded guilty to one count of having sex for money with a 17-year and 10-month-old person. That's not pedophile.
They're coming up with new arguments. Powerful arguments that we won't be able to respond to. Apparently, in some of the emails leaked, Jeffrey Epstein was ridiculing Alan Dershowitz, which is fair because Dershowitz is a disgusting clown and a creep. Like, this is the... I feel like this is the same problem that Nick Fuentes has had with his fan base, which is that Nick Fuentes wants to cultivate a fan base of like epic-based trad Aryan warriors, but inevitably being an online neo-Nazi cult means you mostly appeal to the most disgusting and socially inept people on Earth. Likewise, Jeffrey Epstein himself, I imagine, was probably a pretty socially competent, suave guy. Like, he was literally the, like, information brokerage, wheeling and dealing, schmooze with all the wealthy people kind of guy, you know? But invariably, if the thing that you're enticing all these wealthy people with is child sex, you're going to end up surrounding yourself with the most disgusting fucking wealthy people in the world. So, you know, Epstein spends his whole life trying to build a kind of like Bourdain-esque persona, and now he has to spend time with fucking Dershowitz because nobody else will defend him against the charges. That shit's gotta suck. He really created a hell on earth for himself, you know? Yeah, he was thinking of himself like a French aristocrat kind of pedo, you know? He's thinking of himself as like a... you know, he's got like the class and grace of a sommelier. He's just lounging on his island, partaking in the hedonistic delights of Earth. And meanwhile, he's surrounded by these fat, disgusting, like, you know, you've seen The Substance? You know, the agent or the producer in The Substance with the shrimp? That guy? That's like every guy Epstein's surrounded with, including Trump, including Dershowitz, because in the emails that were released, Epstein attacked both of them. You know? Epstein volunteered Trump was borderline insane, compared to Dershowitz, who was a few feet further from the border, but not by much. At the same time, Epstein had the worst typing in the world. Well, in fairness, he was typing from an iPad, you know? Wasn't he dyslexic? Was he? You're going to be typing from one soon? Nah, I'll do an on-screen keyboard. I'll just click the keys. I was gone for that. What is that on screen? That's chat. You're a part of it. Somebody linked this. I saw this. This is funny as fuck. Adding this to the list of things that you know for a fact but probably shouldn't repeat. Again, this is the consequence of wanting to be like a cosmopolitan, urbane kind of neo-Nazi social figure, but being condemned to spend time with your own audience.
30% of voters can't name all 3 branches of government, 13% can't name even one, and only 7% know all 5 First Amendment freedoms. 80% can't locate Iraq or Afghanistan on a map. Would you support a modern voter literacy test to incentivize more informed voting? Or any other solutions to incentivize more informed voting?
Maybe, I don't know. That's just like idiotic. You know, thinking the problem is like uninformed people are voting. Uninformed people are the only thing keeping the country going. The 20% of people that could find Iraq on a map are all liberals, okay? The 20% of informed voters that could find Iraq on a map, it's probably like 2% are veterans and 18% are like lib shits that went to college.
It's not too late, Fuentes. You've got money, okay? You've got a lot of money. You could drop all of this, move to Astoria, and just hang out with cute cat boys and e-girls for literally the rest of your life, okay? You've got money to make America your playground. You can drop all this bullshit and just hang out with you don't have to. You can wear the designer clothing, okay? You can have the cat ears on. I'm not even making fun. You're in a hell of your own making. Oh, he will grift left later. No, I don't want him to grift left. I just want him to drop it. He doesn't like being surrounded by. Look, sometimes I think, man, I'm surrounded by autists when I look at chat, but I still think of you endearingly. He hates his audience, and who could blame them? At least you guys have charm and heart. His audience is full of like incel neo-Nazis. You're not gonna get like it's not just that they're autistic, right? They're like repugnant on every level, and he gets it, you know. As a live streamer, you can't cultivate a base of these people and then live divorced from them, right? Their attitude saturates your life. You begin to resent them, you know? You go live and you're like, oh my fucking God. You see the character of the people communicating in your chat and you're like, oh, that's cringe. You see some guy being like, you know, should I break up with my girlfriend? You know, she said she likes this show, but the show was made by a Jew. And Nick Fuentes is like, it doesn't fucking matter, dog. Can't you tell when I'm anti-Semitic? It's just for the fucking vibes, man. I don't give a shit. Come on. I'm being real. It's not a bit. It's not a bit. Did you see that 3-minute long stretch of him shitting on his donos because they're all stupid? Well, yes, and that's kind of what I'm referring to.
Taking my girlfriend to Ireland over Halloween. She told me I need to get a costume. Going to be interesting when she asks why I only pack a Burger King crown in my luggage. Hashtag she need main. Caesar Augustus sent $20. How significant is the Siberia II deal between Russia and China?
I haven't read enough about it.
Judge Holden sent $10. What do you think about Kaczynski's thesis that modern ideologies, leftism, feminism, etc.
Kaczynski's thesis? Oh, I'm getting a shout out. Do I get royalties for this?
Are a symptom of the unnatural conditions placed upon us by post-industrial
Can you fuck off and
Spazzer
kill
sent
yourself?
$15. Half the power of the keys is the power of binding and loosing. This power is first given to Peter the foremost apostle. Later Christ gave this
right, you have no quote. You just have cope.
Red Pill Plug sent $50. As a near 100% ethnic German, Nigel Heil Hitler, and Heil Führer Fuentes, leader of the Fourth Reich. And above all, hail Jesus Christ who took the punishment on the cross which we deserved for our sins.
Oh my
we can win,
gosh.
but it will take all of us creating solutions, a decentralized army.
No, exactly. It's embarrassing. You want like a cool, like square-jawed, chiseled, jawboned army of Aryan warriors who, you know, they got the good shit posts online, but they're also socially competent and they're, you know, they're like, they're militant and they're imposing and they're powerful. But this doesn't, it never shakes out that way, does it? Just move to Astoria.
Christian Don sent $15. Do you feel the same amount of empathy for the children in the Holocaust as you do for the children in Gaza today?
He crashed out and got mad at chat for saying Stalin was a Jew and called them retards. Yeah, because again, like it doesn't fucking... because he's acknowledged that the only... actually believing in the JQ makes you a schizophrenic, okay? It turns you into a lunatic. There's no way to believe in the JQ and be cool about it. There's no way. I'm not even talking about the moral implications. It just turns you into a fucking loser, right? Like you'll be talking about how Stalin was based because of his, I don't know, jawline or something, and some sniveling retard who has never gotten pussy will walk up to you and say, "Wasn't Stalin a Jew?" This is an unsalvageable dynamic. I'm just saying he would be happier if he was up there with the e-girls in like a studio loft or something, you know? Fuentes, you need to transition, period, but also into making like lifestyle videos. Make food on camera. I don't know. Tell me how you like to organize your room. All right? Get some like fancy carved wooden stools that cost $3,000 each. They're made by like a legendary Japanese furniture maker from the 1970s, and put them in your apartment and talk about how they've improved your life. I don't like just the world's an open. Yeah, get into stained glass. It probably does make it worse that Nick doesn't believe jack shit that he says. Look, it's, as is often the case with these people, it's whether or not they believe in it is largely irrelevant. They believe what is based, right? And it's not based to have an army of autists hanging on your every word, but who are also desperate to be contrarian. I would know, trust me. Again, the thing that saves it for me is that I actually believe in the shit that I say, like, on a ground level, I just believe it empirically. And also, I think you guys have a lot of charm. You know, there's a positive moral current to what we do here that I'm fond of, you know?
Yeah, I mean, to the extent that that's real.
Is there any room in your movement for orthodoxy? I ask this not because you are a Catholic, but because
yeah, just stop being annoying as fuck.
Right.
It goes on like this for a while. Anyway, finish the original clip, okay?
College. It's probably like find Iraq on a map. It's probably like 2% are veterans and 18% are like lib shits.
Wouldn't you want to watch Astoria, Nick Fuentes? Like, imagine he goes dark for a year and then he comes back and all of a sudden he has opinions on like Japanese cutlery. He doesn't mention politics at all. Okay, it's just his personality, and he's like, yeah, I got these. They were like $200, and I thought they were ripping me off. But ever since I started using them, I just think there's a lot of there's potential. Why is he holding a pumpkin to his head like an ice pack? Well, I think he looks like he has a really bad migraine, but I think this was from Halloween.
That went to college. It's probably like 2% veterans, 2%. Like talk radio boomers who are like, nah. And then the other 16% are liberals that went to college. So no. If we had I'll be the first to say, if we had a voter literacy test, Democrat landslide imminent. And it would disqualify all blacks. It would disqualify 80% of Hispanics. But you know who would be voting? College educated whites and Asians. And they're all liberal. So, no, that's not the issue. That wouldn't solve nothing.
Thrasimic has sent.
Things would get worse faster.
Thrasimic has sent $21.
That's always the saving pitch, right? He might, like, if you're an audience member, he might think you're an unsalvageable, low IQ, degenerate, but at least you're not black. Except statistically speaking, a significant portion of his audience is black or Latino. So, you know, you get what you get. Listen, all I'm going to say is the last IRL Nick Fuentes fan I saw was the guy who met Sneeko out there after Zoran Mamdani won in New York. And he was like a 4'9" Central American guy. Like, he said Mexican, but he said it kind of nervously. I don't think he was Mexican. I think he was further from America, you know, than that. You all get me, right? Probably more white people watch Vosh than Fuentes. That's true, because because I'm very white, you know, for one, like attracts like to an extent. But also I don't appeal to pick-me's, right? So I don't really have that that wing going for me. I just think it's funny. I sympathize. I really do. I sympathize. I can't help it. I'm just too empathetic of a person, you know. I see a live streamer struggling with the character of their audience, and just innately, my heart goes out. My heart goes. Sorry. We don't care. Yeah, well, you're not a live streamer. I knew you were going to do that. No, you didn't. Fuck you. Go start your own stream. Truly the hardest job in the world, retard wrangler. I really do think, and I mean this, I'm not doing a bit. I really do think if there's anything that I contribute to the conversation, you know, way too few people in the lefty like media analysis space focus on the psychosexual. Way too few people. There are so many people out here who, despite all evidence to the contrary, I don't know why they're still doing this. They still focus on people's positions as though all of these, like everything these people believe or argue for, are being either done sincerely or they're being argued for as part of political strategy, you know? And that to me is crazy. People will, like, I get this every stream. People will see Trump do something moronic and they'll be like, well, is this part of a plan to do X? No, man. These are all regular human beings. Not regular. They're exceptionally egotistical, self-assured, and surrounded by yes men, right? You cannot, like, can you imagine if a historian went back and analyzed everything a monarch did based entirely on the, like, realpolitik implications that they think they must have been considering when making those decisions? It'd be ridiculous. We all know perfectly well, and I think most historians would probably acknowledge as well, that if you go back to like any ancient king or emperor or whatever, for the most part, a lot of their decisions were motivated by stuff like ego, right? There's lots of crazy shit they did that was just like, you know, because they felt like it. Insecurity, whatever else. I don't know why people don't engage with like analysis on this level. You know? I don't understand why. I don't get it. It's very important. Yeah. Yeah. If you go to the unusual deaths in history page on Wikipedia, there are tons of royalty that died trying to get laid. I think, if anything, the Epstein thing is like the big point in time where we have to acknowledge this, because the whole Epstein scandal on every level, right, basically from every person involved, is this gigantic Gordian knot of psychosexual, like, I don't know what you'd call it, like incentive manufacturing. The whole point of Epstein, the whole point of being Epstein, is luring people into mutually beneficial social and economic ties so that you can call upon them and their resources if necessary to, you know, to power broker, right? And of course, the child sex trafficking was just like a side gig that facilitated that. It wasn't Epstein's main gig. It certainly wasn't the way he made his money, you know? It was just like a component. To him, the child sex trafficking was probably a lot in his head, like making sure that the parties had enough food or hors d'oeuvres or whatever, you know? Oh, yeah, got to take care of all the party favors. Like, that was literally the level that he was operating on, you know? It definitely wasn't his primary mode of like making money, right? So in an environment like this, you know, you're basically, you're priming a bunch of people to make decisions that do not make any sense unless you're understanding it from a psychological perspective. None of this shit makes sense if you're imagining everything as some kind of neutral realpolitik, some emotionally detached something. You know, it just doesn't work that way. I don't know. Just, I have not, Nixmaster. I have not. Does it ever get to you that Fuentes could disappear for a year and hang out with metrosexual catboys, but you could never leave the socialist streamer stigma? Are you implying that I have more stigma to my name than Nick Fuentes? That's a serious accusation, my friend. Also, I live in Seattle. Being a socialist streamer really has nothing to do with my ability to spend time with metrosexual catboys. You're insane. Among lefties, kinda. You know how many negative interactions I've had with people in real life? One, and it was 4 years ago, and it was a guy saying, like, you give lefties a bad name when I was crossing the street. That was one. I've had hundreds of positive interactions. Nobody's mean to me in person. Nobody's even been mean to people who know me in person about me. Plus, I think we're doing pretty good karmically. It's been a while since any drama. We've been staying in our lane, focusing on the politics, got our nose down on the grind. Just helped get a mayor elected, you know? I feel like I feel like we're doing pretty good right now, huh? More people are mean to your fans than you, lol. I don't even see people being mean to my fans these days. You know? I don't even know how often my fans talk about liking me. You know, for the most part, I feel like they've learned not to, so that people haven't even had an opportunity to be mean to them. But, you know, I don't know. I don't know. We do be getting the abuse. You're fine. You're fine. Thoughts on Lonerbox turning Zionist? Turning? I don't know anything about anything. Just put the Palestinian liberation in the bag. Agreed. I mentioned you in a DSA meeting I went to last week, Vosh. That's your fucking fault. That's your fucking fault. That's your problem, man. Very heartwarming moment for me when I took Vosh to a big hangout with a lot of my friends for college and no one knew him. Yeah, well, there was that one time we went to that house party, my beloved partner, and somebody came up. Yeah. And somebody came up and was like, so what do you do? And they very obviously knew who I was, but like they were like 95% sure, so they wanted to broach the topic cautiously because they didn't want to just run up and accuse me. It's pretty funny. Somebody was mean to me in your subreddit. They do like to do that over there. They do like to do that over there. What did you do? I talk normally with them because I'm a normal person in like regular interactions, you know? That interaction went very well, TBH. All interactions with me go very well. Thank you. Thank you. Hold on. Okay. I need to get this one off my chest. Sorry, not off my chest. I need to address this. The elephant, address me. Address me. Are we going to war with Venezuela? What's happening here? Pete Hegseth has announced Operation Southern Spear, which is what she calls it, by the way. Led by Joint Task Force Southern Spear and Southcom, this mission defends our homeland, removes narco-terrorists from our hemisphere, and secures our homeland from the drugs that are killing our people. The Western Hemisphere is America's neighborhood, and we will protect it. Very America first, by the way. So what are we doing? Is this just our way of legitimizing us parking our boats outside of Venezuela and taking pot shots at fishing boats? Like, that's all this is, right? Anything to distract from the files? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, nobody's even talking about this. I guess right now it doesn't seem to imply anything, or it doesn't really signify much, you know?
The tiny Caribbean nation of Trinidad and Tobago says it will conduct 5 days of military drills with the U.S. starting tomorrow. The islands are right off the coast of Venezuela. The last several weeks, the U.S. has built up its forces in the Caribbean, including its largest aircraft carrier. The USS Gerald Ford is in position there. While on Air Force One Friday, President Trump was asked about his intentions in Venezuela.
Why? CNN, why?
Your mind on what you'd like to do for as far as action?
I sort of have made up my mind. Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you what it would be, but I sort of made up my mind.
The U.S. has launched 20 attacks on boats in the Caribbean, saying they were targeting drug traffickers. CNN's Stefano Postaban is in the Venezuelan capital of Caracas. Stefano, how is Venezuela reacting to all of this?
Well, I think that Venezuela, Federica, is bracing for something to happen in the next few hours, weeks, days. We really don't know when.
It's a pretty wide range of time. I know that Trump has been talking about it. I still really do not know if we're going to be doing ground strikes in Venezuela, you know, because that's so insane. For one, that's our reputation with the rest of Latin America, like in the dumpster forever, basically. I know that Venezuela is not exactly the most popular neighbor over there, but and as much of an escalation as it is to just bomb random fishing boats, to strike the actual land, entirely different thing. I mean, it's I guess it's like we're already in the dumpster, but you can keep digging down, you know?
And that could happen, but the idea of Donald Trump saying that he has sort of made up his mind, and then subsequently we learn that there are military exercises, drills off the coast of Trinidad and Tobago, which, by the way, it's really just a 20 miles boat ride from Trinidad and Tobago to get into Venezuela, to get into an area that is notoriously for the drug trafficking. It feels like that is yet another step, that we've been here, we've seen the tide coming every week that has passed, that has been.
It's amazing considering how much we fuck with Latin America over the years, but now it seems we can't. We don't really seem to have the political will or intention or whatever, intelligence necessary to do that same level of fuckery. I mean, we failed in Venezuela before. We failed, Guaido, of course. But also, like, our influence has just been waning in the region, I think, in large part because the CIA fell off. It's not like we don't have the money. It's just, I don't know. Whatever it is, it's to the benefit of the Latin American people, but it's probably a lot of like complicated explanations for it. But yeah, maybe it's just more difficult to do spy shit in general now. Like, it used to be the CIA could like quietly incentivize or replace people or whatever, but now that everyone's got a smartphone and all these countries have internet and digital media and information can circulate really, really quickly, it's actually really difficult to do like black ops shit anymore. Maybe it's just really, really tough to do that work. I have no idea.
In a consequential step that it's getting closer and closer to potentially the United States really taking direct action within Venezuela. That would be a strike on Venezuelan territory, which is frankly...
Yeah, I heard that. The UK has stopped sharing intelligence with us because they don't want to be complicit in these boat attacks. And Tom Homan said the UK is not a friend of ours. Yeah, sure. Keep isolating people, whatever. Keir Starmer is going to keep sucking Trump's asshole every chance he gets in the TV anyway.
Unheard of. The Venezuelan president has been on television almost every day this past week, always trying to present himself as a peaceful negotiator, asking for peace and asking not to open yet another endless war. Take a listen.
It is to the people of the United States that I speak to at this moment, before these 100 jurors from 34 countries, to say, stop the insane hand of those who order bombing, killing, and bringing war to South America, to the Caribbean. Stop the war.
They're gonna fucking end up legitimizing Maduro because he's the only guy who can resist the incursion.
All right, this morning is CNN exclusive. Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro with a message for Americans as President Trump mulls potential military action inside Venezuela. CNN contributor Stefano Pozzomon is in Caracas with the latest. Good morning, Stefano.
Yes, good morning. I think that the value of the exchange that we had with Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro yesterday here in Caracas is not on the message that he said, not what he said, because we have heard this type of speech, these messages of peace towards the United States before, but it's the fact that he was out on the street and surrounded, quite frankly, regular people, regular Venezuelans and the supporters of his government. The exchange was in a march just outside the Miraflores Presidential Palace. I was able to ask him what is his message for President Trump. Take a listen.
What is your message to the people of the United States, President?
Nice ADR.
To unite for the peace of the continent. No more endless wars. No more unjust wars. No more Libya. No more Afghanistan. Do you have a message for President Trump? My message is yes, peace. Yes, peace.
He's so full of shit. He genuinely, though, like, Trump is probably going to boost his popularity. Peace.
Venezuela is ordering a massive mobilization of its military as the United States sends more of its own firepower to the region.
amantes de la paz.
We love peace. We deeply love peace.
I keep hearing
We don't
this.
want war here nor in any other place around the world. But if they dare to touch Venezuela, they're going to find us in every street.
The announcement came after America's largest warship arrived in U.S. Southern Command area of operations. That area includes most of Latin America. We've got CNN senior national security reporter Zach Cohen in Washington for us. Zach, good to see you. What more do we know about Venezuela's mobilization of not only its troops, but equipment as well as ammunition? And then also,
what's the geography of Venezuela? Are you in for another Vietnam in the jungle? Invading Venezuela would probably go about as well as Vietnam, except we had more competent military command during Vietnam than now. So in all likelihood, it would actually go worse. Like our president is so allergic to planning and good advice, and he's so far away from any reasonable advisors that it wouldn't surprise me if they started having to outright ignore his commands because he's like ordering deployments without logistics being set up beforehand, you know, like 40,000 people onto the beach now and they have no fucking food or whatever.
how significant is it that the USS Gerald R. Ford is now in Southern Command's region?
Yeah, Venezuelan officials making clear that this mobilization was ordered directly by President Nicolas Maduro and comes as a response to the U.S. military buildup in the region, which of course has been used to conduct these strikes against alleged drug boats, but increasing tensions with Venezuela in the process. Venezuelan officials calling the U.S. buildup a, quote, imperialist threat and saying that they plan to conduct land, air, and naval exercises to really, as a show of force, to essentially ward off a potential U.S. invasion of sorts. Now, the aircraft carrier USS Gerald Ford is the U.S.'s largest aircraft carrier. It is the most advanced aircraft carrier in the U.S. fleet. At the same time, it brings significant air assets as well. It has 9 air squadrons, anti-surface capabilities, and it will join what is already a very large U.S. military presence in the region, including guided missile destroyers that are all ballistic capable, raising questions about what this firepower is needed.
Vietnam had a modern professional military equipped with top-of-the-line modern kit from Soviets and Chinese. Venezuela had a barely funded corrupt military suppressing internal sent decades old. Yeah, I just, I think that, I feel like with the state of the Pentagon as it currently is, we would still manage our own resources so incompetently that it would turn into a quagmire. Certainly the Viet Cong were like much better equipped than, you know, for their time, I suppose, than what the Vietnamese, sorry, than what the Venezuelan army is today. But I just can't imagine. I don't know. Yeah, I can't. Can you imagine Pete Hegseth leading us to victory in any kind of military conflict right now? What have we done? The most we've done militarily since Trump took over was like strike Yemen, and then we stopped doing it after nothing changed. I don't know. I have no idea.
Trump administration insists that the Gerald Ford and the rest of the military assets there are intended to conduct the counter-narcotics mission, the targeting of alleged drug boats. But at the same time, I'm told U.S. officials were unable to tell Congress why they need so much firepower to target small boats. So this uncertainty is still increasing and contributing to the ongoing tensions with Venezuela.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, a lot of people looking on and wondering whether this means some kind of confrontation down the line. But we know that the undercurrents of a lot of what we've been seeing is that Caracas does believe that Washington is seeking regime change, something we've even heard from President Trump in sort of nuanced terms. But what are your sources telling you?
Yeah, we reported back in September and since then that there are some within the Trump administration who are pushing a strategy to effectively conduct strikes inside Venezuela with the idea of pushing Nicolas Maduro, the president of Venezuela, out of power. That is still something some U.S. officials hope can be accomplished as part of this military buildup. At the same time, we also know that the Trump administration told Congress just a few days ago that it doesn't currently have the legal justification to target anything inside Venezuela or any other territory.
Yeah, no shit. What would a U.S. victory even look like? I'm sorry. I genuinely think that all of this is meaningless. Like, it's all Epstein file distraction stuff. I just don't know how far they're going to go with the distraction. I doubt they'll put boots on the ground, no matter how many military training exercises they do in Trinidad or whatever. Striking the land would still be pretty insane. We'll see. Drones only? Yeah, maybe. Hold on. While I was browsing that for the Venezuela videos, did we see this before? We couldn't have seen this because it's only from 22 hours ago. CNN visits a whites-only town, Arkansas. Is this the same one that got visited by that, what was it, NBC camera crew before? Or is this a different one? They're visiting VGG.
You want a white nation? Build a white town.
And then organize. Become organized with like-minded people.
We're part of a living tradition that we can't lose.
We were up early this morning to go to a whites-only town in rural Arkansas. Eric, who runs the town, is all over social media. He's going on every YouTube and podcast, very prominent neo-Nazis and white supremacists and anti-Semites.
I've heard of that guy.
And they're letting CNN come visit them. There he is. Stoney O'Sullivan, nice to meet you. And how many acres have you got here? Or
160.
Okay.
Ish.
It's pretty sizable.
Yeah. That is a pavilion, or will be a pavilion. Just a place to meet up.
What does somebody have to do, or what does somebody have to be to come live here?
You have to be someone who identifies with your European heritage and ancestry.
So European.
To refer to an earlier point from today's stream, it's impossible to overstate how insufferable Nick Fuentes would find this environment, right? Like, we all know that if Fuentes was here, he would call this, like, lame and gay and would march off to go find... Like there's no fucking way. There's no fucking way.
Twice.
Those are synonyms to me.
Right now, there's about 40 or so people living here, give or take. But you told me there's hundreds of people want to move here. Hundreds of people have applied.
Yeah, there are quite a few people waiting to be interviewed.
Wow. Are they all racist?
Well, it depends on what you mean by racist. Are they racist in the sense that they hate other groups of people and want to deprive other groups of people of resources or opportunities? No.
People like Eric are afraid that white Americans are being replaced, and a projection from the US Census has them worried.
I think
what is the point of building a whites-only town, and then when somebody asks you if you're racist, you say no, and then hem and haw over the definition? That's crazy to me. Like, I understand that these people are ideologically cowardly, but at what point do you get to just put your... come on, like, who are you fooling here? What the fuck? It's so cucked.
America is due to become a minority white country for the first time in the 2040s. Are you concerned about that?
Of course I'm concerned about that. And look at what's happened in South Africa, right? White people used to run that country when the tides turned and political control was given to non-white people there.
Again, like, it's what... Like, why are you measuring your language to sound more moderate than you are? Just say whites and blacks. You can say, like, you can just say the N. What I just don't understand what the point is of, like, you've gone this far to live the dream and you're still moderating your language to appeal to normies. No normie is buying in on this, man. You're already pre-selecting for the most extreme people. Why would you...
People have to live behind bars and be very cautious. There's private security everywhere.
But these fears aren't confined to rural Arkansas.
The greatest invasion in history is taking place right here in our country.
This guy's racist?
They're everywhere.
In political terms, this policy is called the Great Replacement.
This is so outdated, this CNN video. Again, this is from 22 hours ago. Tucker Carlson hasn't been on Fox News in years.
And the name of one white minority country keeps coming up.
Terrible things are happening in South Africa. The leadership is doing some terrible things, horrible things. So,
indeed, Eric took inspiration from a whites-only town in South Africa for what he's building here in Arkansas.
Many of us imagine, what is this going to look like when we are actually a minority? And so we see what's happening in South Africa and we say, is that going to be us?
Trump has even
Look at
claimed
that aerial shot. It's not a town. It's 160 acres and a trailer. Yeah, even calling it a town is, I feel like, journalistic malpractice, really.
a so-called white genocide is happening in South Africa.
But it's a genocide that's taking place that you people don't want to write about.
Welcome to the United States of America.
He's used this as a reason to open up the US refugee program to white South Africans. Something that in the US has become the butt of late-night jokes.
President Trump has signed an executive order giving refugee status to white people from South Africa. Huh. You know, I could have sworn that white people had it good in South Africa. Must be the Mandela effect.
Specifically, Trump is giving refugee status to Afrikaners.
These are the descendants of the people who created the most diabolical system of white supremacy in human history, apartheid.
I don't think non-Americans should get to talk about American-coded white supremacy, okay? Your accents are too silly. You're denigrating the conversation from all sides. Come on.
I traveled to Alabama to meet one of the new Afrikaner refugees.
Errol, how are you? Nice to meet you.
Errol Langton, who had just moved to the US with his family.
Could we get 2 of the breakfast sandwiches, please? You seem happy.
Now this is white civilization right here.
I'm very happy. Happier than I've been in a long time. Yeah. Less stressed as well. You know, anybody who knows me, the first thing that they do is, if they haven't seen me in a few months since leaving South Africa, is the first thing
I've seen Discord people disclosing to me that they are not racist, but believe genuinely that a race war is going to target them, and as such, why they don't other minorities in the server that are too political. You mean don't want other minorities? These people are mentally ill. This is the way that racists try to win over quote-unquote non-racist people, is by saying, like, the race war is happening one way or another. Look, you're either winning or losing. Like, they try to frame the entire world in so many different ways as a zero-sum game where different groups vie for power. Of course, the reality of the past 400 years is the exact opposite. The most powerful country on earth is a multicultural haven. America is an exceptionally diverse country, and its most powerful city in the most powerful country, New York, is an exceptionally immigrant-friendly place and always has been. All empirical data points to the opposite. The most degenerate, fucking crime-ridden states are these, like, backwater, rural, red state shitholes. New York City, in comparison, is quite non-violent. And it's filled with, like, I'm going to just assume that New York City has every nationality language on earth. Probably not, like, micro-languages or dead languages, but it's a very diverse place. Let's just say that, okay? I don't want to overstate my case. So the idea that there's a race war coming, it's inevitable, and you just want to be on the right side, is a schizophrenic belief that could only be held by a person who is either genuinely mentally ill or is being bombarded with propaganda by being in a social environment where everyone is treating that as though it's the truth. And there's no other way that can happen. Nobody could rationally arrive at that belief.
You're looking good. You're looking healthy. You're looking like you're getting on top of things.
Where you lived in South Africa, you and your family felt unsafe?
We are very nomadic. So we've lived in multiple locations as a family. And in multiple locations, I've had the same kind of sense of, I'm just waiting for something bad to happen. Yeah. And I've had bad things happen.
In 2003, Errol says he was stabbed 15 times in his home. He says the intruder was black, but he doesn't know if the attack was racially motivated.
Is there a white genocide in South Africa?
I feel that's a little bit of a loaded question because
this guy seems did they just find a random white South African? This guy doesn't seem like a warrior for the ethno state or whatever. They just found like a random guy.
Genocide, the definition of genocide is such that you can interpret it any way you want.
How is it loaded? Look, okay, this is why everyone should be forced to learn socioeconomics, or at the very least watch my streams, okay? South Africa did get a lot more, how would you put it, interpersonally violent after the end of apartheid. The only reason we talk about it, though, is because that interpersonal violence now includes the white population. Like, South Africa under apartheid was exceptionally fucking violent to black people, but nobody gives a fuck about that, you know? The violence was structural, but there was also a lot of, like, random violence, random interpersonal violence, you know? Now that South Africa is no longer officially an apartheid state, note, white people still control the majority of land, political power, and money over there, like, vastly disproportionate, more disproportionate than in America by a large amount. the violence is more widespread, which is caused directly by the social instability caused by inequality, you know? There are countries that are just poor across the board, or areas of the country that are poor across the board, and there's less violence than there is in South Africa. The reason why South Africa is like the fucking capital nation of like car theft or whatever, or home break-ins, is because there's so much money concentrated in the hands of so few people. You see this in Latin America, you see it in parts of America, you know? It's the inequality. If everyone's more or less on the same playing field when it comes to wealth and access to educational and economic opportunities, then there's just not as much crime, because there's not as much of an incentive to engage in that kind of petty crime, theft or whatever, to shore up your own life. This is only going to get worse as income inequality skyrockets, by the way. You're seeing it here in America, too. Violent crime is at near record low levels. But property crime, it depends on the area, but property crime's still relatively high, you know? Car break-ins, that kind of stuff, right? And it's like, well, I mean, yeah, more and more people are living with nothing relative to the majority, and then they see shiny cars with shiny stuff inside, parked nearby, you know? What are you gonna do? Address inequality? Probably not.
Do I believe there's a white genocide? Yes, I do.
Oh, well, there you
They
go.
want it to be a black country. And if that's not the definition of genocide, I don't know what is. Again, it's not always just about murdering. The term is eradication, by whatever means.
So how has the idea of white persecution in South Africa taken such a strong hold in the US?
I think one could say that a lot of the problem...
It is a black country. You don't have to buy into their definitions, man, okay? You just want South Africa to be an equal country. Right now, it's a super duper 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 unequal country. I don't give a fuck if there are white people living in South Africa. Everyone should just be on the same playing field. I don't give a shit. If anything, there's an innate inequality there because the white people will always be more susceptible to sunburn. So I say that white people on average should have $6 or $7 more than black people in South Africa, because that would be the cost of like a big tube of sunscreen. That seems fair to me. Once that's leveled out, though, I think that seems, yeah, around there. Why'd you pick those numbers in particular? Have you guys considered that saying like 6 or 7 is just more like reflexive? It's just easier and more fun to say than saying 7 or 8 or 5 and 6, you know?
Problems that we experience in South Africa today might be experienced by countries like America in the future.
A lot of it is down to this man, Ernst Roots, an Afrikaner who's made multiple trips to Washington, D.C. and has appeared all across conservative media.
Especially farmers in South Africa, white farmers in particular, where they would be tortured to death and it would receive very little news coverage, and that's unfortunately...
One of the lessons from South Africa is when white people or Westerners become a minority, the threats and the targeting doesn't stop, it becomes worse.
So you view this...
Is there any evidence of that at all? Because, like, white people were already in the minority in South Africa before the end of apartheid, so it wasn't exactly... It wasn't the actual demographic makeup of the country that was causing that, you know? Remember that part of the shock doctrine where the book goes into how financially destroyed South Africa was post-apartheid because it needed to pay future pensions of the apartheid's main architects and beneficiaries? Yeah, also, again, like, you don't really fix apartheid if you get rid of legal apartheid, but all the white people still have all the land and political power and money. Like, you're still kind of it's like getting rid of, like, you're getting rid of redlining officially, but all the black people already live here and all the white people already live here, so you can just continue to race neutrally target policies by neighborhood rather than by race, which basically turns into doing it by race because of the neighborhood redlining. Yeah, like you can't get rid of political inequality on paper, but then allow it to continue to exist as a consequence of the accumulation of that power over centuries. It's ridiculous, but you know, what are you going to do? 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 What are you going to do?
As a fight bigger than just for South Africa, it is for Western civilization.
We do believe that Western civilization is under threat. I think America should look to South Africa and be concerned.
How important has Donald Trump been?
As a real American, I do not like these people throwing themselves in with the same white race that I belong to. I'm sorry, you both sound fucking ridiculous. You guys are like North European. This is like Anglo-slop. Okay, I don't care for this at all. This is like silly, red cheek, balding at 22. I don't associate with this. Okay, all right. Yeah, we are not the same. Don't lump me in with this.
For putting the Afrikaner issue on the world stage.
Well, he's been fundamental, and he's played a very important role.
Death, 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 horrible death.
Groot's message has made it to the White House.
Excuse me, turn the lights down and just put this on. It's right behind you.
When President
Dude, even the fucking president of South Africa is laughing at this. He's like, oh my God.
Trump showed videos of what he said was evidence of white persecution in South Africa.
Now this is very bad. These are burial sites right here. Burial sites, over 1,000 of white farmers.
So what is the truth?
That was fake news, by the way, obviously.
These Afrikaners are among the most privileged people on the entire continent.
Everybody got all hot and bothered about, the program being stopped, and, South Africans are now coming in, and how unfair that is, and all these white.
I feel like almost none of this video was actually interviewing the people in the Alabama town, That kind of sucks. I wanted more of that. What's with the fucking Call of Duty music? Yeah, well, and this is typical of CNN documentaries, by the way, where they will want to investigate a topic, but actually addressing it or responding to it would require some kind of editorial gumption, Like, it turns out you actually have to express a political opinion to oppose white nationalism. So rather than say anything about it, they just cover what the opposition says, play scary music, and say, but some people think that's not right, and then show like a not pro-white ethno-state person sharing their opinion, I did see one one counterexample to that, though. One second. Where is it? It was the CNN. I saw a clip of the CNN lady talking to Candace Owens. My understanding was that Candace Owens was being legitimized by this interview because the framing of it outside the video was kind of like neutral, Take a look at this. Sorry, this is not related at all to the Alabama whites only town or whatever. I'm only looking at this because it's like CNN interview actually being funny. Just
when you say you believe that Charlie Kirk was betrayed by someone close to him, what do you mean?
I think that in the coming weeks, there's going to be a lot of financial reports that are coming out, and I, first and foremost, do not believe that Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk. I want to be very clear on that. Whether he was involved, I think the answer is yes. I think that's obvious.
And your basis for saying he didn't act alone is what?
I don't know, maybe the weird Fed messages that were concocted out of thin air that had no timestamp and were written like they were speaking in 1822, among other things. Their lack of an ability to answer any basic questions about what took place.
But do you have any proof that the messages were made up? Because that would be easily proven.
Yeah, but they didn't put timestamps on them, and Discord came out and said they didn't exist.
This was supposedly text messages, not Discord messages. It's my understanding from the indictment.
I actually did not read that they were text messages.
The indictment calls them text messages.
What would it be like the feds are like on a computer, like typing it out back and forth?
That's exactly what it is. The feds made up the text messages.
But you don't have anyone from like the FBI telling you that, or law enforcement?
Leaks.
Okay.
No.
Has anyone leaked to you?
And Tyler Robinson
But has anyone said to you, even off the record, like, yeah, we faked these?
I have very strong sources everywhere on both sides.
Well, I look forward to seeing the evidence of that.
Sure. Because when we keep talking about evidence, it's like, who's going to present that evidence? Like the mainstream media? Like who are you expecting to come out?
That would be a hot story.
No.
Conspiracy, slop, and Joy's beating good off this. Yeah, no, Candace Owens' like sharp rise in popularity. It does show where the MAGA movement is going, because it's not Trump, Where like if you thought we had retard populism before, we are going to go so much farther with it. Everything is going to be retard pop. There's like no connection whatsoever to reality. We're going to reach levels of anti-empiricism and vibes posting that have never before been seen in American politics.
It wouldn't be.
It would be.
It wouldn't be.
If the FBI, like if I had a source telling me, like if I had proof that the FBI faked those messages, that would be an enormous story.
Yeah, I kind of feel like we live in a post-Epstein world and we know how stories get shut down. And
I don't know. I just thought it was really funny. Available in the US only. Now that's white supremacy. And all this because we're cucked to Israel? Yep. Gotta break that tie eventually. Oh my god. Give me 1 fucking second, man. Oh, please. Ooh, can you hear that? I swear to God, I have been so fucking stiff lately. Ooh. I gotta get back into working out, man. What's with the constant neck cracking recently, old head? I'm dying is what it is. I gotta do mobility. Yeah. Oh. You gotta do it. Nah, I can't do that one anymore. I gotta love the sweater. The sweatshirt? Yeah, it's pretty nice, right? I finally have a sweatsuit. I got some sweatpants from see, look, it's like a proper workout outfit. See? I feel like I can take on anything. Shut the fuck up, love. You agree with NL's take about the rack torture device feeling good for a minute? Hasn't everyone thought that? Hasn't everyone thought like, yeah, being put on the rack would feel pretty good for a sec? I don't know if it would stay feeling good for a full minute. That seems like a lot. Hang by a pull-up bar instead? That's true, yeah. Can I bring a cat in? No, I gotta stay focused. On what? I'm not entirely sure. On riffing, perhaps. Having your limbs pulled in all 4 directions by horses would feel good for a second, probably. Being quartered? Yeah. You know, it wouldn't feel good even for a little bit? Being on the wheel. That wouldn't feel good at all. Katie Wilson was at the Starbucks strike showing solidarity. Yeah, I saw. What's her name from Twitter was crowing about this, and I said, "You're welcome." Cassie Pritchard? Casey Pritchard? I don't know. I'm not buying Starbucks, and you shouldn't either. Really ballsy move. Like, Starbucks is a big fucking corporation, and it's literally rooted. Its headquarters is here. You know? So to win and to immediately go, yeah, fuck these guys. That's pretty big. Pretty much guarantees Starbucks will be opposed to her and her mayorship forever, you know? What did Starbucks do? Firings? Lots of stuff. Katie Wilson, Starbucks strike. I haven't seen her speech. Is it this? I know where this is. This is on Cap Hill. It's right by Glasswing, which is probably the best Japanese designer clothing importer. They also have, at least in Seattle, they also have, what do you call them? Topiaries? They have like little plants you could buy, like a greenhouse. It's the shutdown factory store. Yes, this was their like roasting house or whatever.
And thank you, Ken. We'll do our damage. We'll come wherever you are.
They also carry Jan Jan van Essikvash, good place. Yeah, no. It's a very good place. It's just holy shit, Jan Jan van Essik is incredibly expensive. It's like out of my price range. They have like a $3,000 coat. It's fucking crazy. No contract, no coffee. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hold on, let me find their Jan stuff. I don't even know. Is it Yan Yan? I have no idea. Yeah, here you go, man. Do you want a $200 beanie? Do you want a $1,000 bag? They got some pricey stuff. But they also carry Capital. And I've always wanted a Capital piece. Oh, no, get rid of the Jan. The Capital fucking indigo ring jacket. The bone bag. You like the bone bag? Where's the big sweaters? Oh, they got a lot in. That jacket looks... Oh, Capital stuff is, like, incredibly good. Yeah, it's very expensive, but it's all, like, expertly made. Show me the, Show me the sweaters. God damn, look at that. Ain't it beautiful? Look at that. Whew! All that hand detailing. Oh, anyway, sorry. Don't be a coward, boo man, or ass guy. I'm an ass guy. I'm absolutely an ass guy. This is well known. Glad they're having fun out there.
All right, all right.
Do you recommend / wear any made in Italy brands? No, I don't respect the Italians. I don't respect what they've done to tailoring since the late 1990s. I'm boycotting the Italians until they popularize a resurgent movement of proper men's tailoring and stop selling slim fit ass garbage fucking $6,000 Gucci suits at my local Nordstrom's. If they can fix that, then I'll go back to buying their shit. All right, bring back the good Armani.
Okay, everybody come in as close as you can. I'm Brenna. I work at LA Drive for Starbucks. We're on strike. Let's go. You may have heard that Seattle just had a mayoral election, and someone just won yesterday. And there's one candidate in this race who talked to our worker organizing committee, and there's one candidate who...
This audio is fucking killing me. I don't know if... can somebody find a better video of this?
Met with workers when they were laid off without pay from a certain store that might be right behind us. And I'm pleased to announce that the candidate is Seattle's next mayor, Katie Wilson. Please give it up for Mayor-elect Katie Wilson. Oh my gosh, it is so amazing to be here today. You all are beautiful. Here we are. Thank you to the incredible Starbucks partners and workers who are here today and fighting across the country for a fair contract and for a union. And thank you to the unions and community organizations here today who are standing with Starbucks workers. SEIU 775, SEIU 1199 Northwest, SEIU 925, SEIU 6, MLK Labor.
I know that guy.
Democratic Socialists of America. Our Revolution. Indivisible. UA Local 32. Church Council of Greater Seattle. IATSE Local 15. And I'm sure I am missing many more. What a day for our city, and I could not be prouder to stand here with Starbucks baristas in solidarity today. I'm asking everyone who believes in fairness, dignity, and workers' rights to stand with us on this picket line. While baristas are on strike, the baristas have shared that the best way to show our support is not to buy Starbucks in solidarity. Together we can send a powerful message. No contract, no coffee. No contract, no coffee. No contract, no coffee. Baristas are the heart and soul of this company, and they deserve better than empty promises and corporate union busting.
She does sound more natural as an activist than a politician, 100%. She sounds more natural here than she did actually accepting the mayorship. It's kind of funny.
That is why I am proud to stand with union baristas in their fight for a fair contract.
It's
and
shit-ass
for a
audio,
union.
but we're almost done. Don't worry.
That is why I am proud to join them on their picket line and proud to say loud and clear, I am not buying Starbucks and you should not either. And I would like to close with a message to Starbucks. This is your hometown and mine. Seattle's making some changes right now. And I urge you to do the right thing. Because in Seattle, when workers' rights are under attack, what do we do? When workers' rights are under attack, what do we do? When workers' rights are under attack, what do we do?
Fix our audio.
Because this is your city. Thank you very much.
Person who did the real-life Kim jacket was a former Gen employee. Really? I have that Kim jacket. I didn't know that. That's crazy. I should learn more stuff about things. This is her wheelhouse for sure. Really, to be honest, there's just no excuse for going to Starbucks if you're in Seattle anyway. Like, there are so many good coffee shops in Seattle. Why the fuck are you going to Starbucks? It's not cheaper. She's wasting no time in making things even worse in Seattle. The fact is, Starbucks employees aren't skilled workers. They have no leverage. Their jobs can be automated by AI. What? I thought you talked about how boycotts are useless and only for virtue signaling. I don't know what is wrong with you people or why you're so intent on misrepresenting me. This is a strike. Do you think a strike and a boycott are the same thing? I can never even tell if it's a bit. I can never tell if people are like referencing it as a joke, like it to compete over how unreasonable they want to be over the take, you know? It's crazy. They're boycotting work? Oh, you're right. Katie's going to do for Starbucks what AOC did for Amazon. AOC blocked Amazon opening a plant in New York, which was good. And how is Katie going to do that for Starbucks? They already have their headquarters here. Still plenty of mediocre coffee shops in Seattle, and plenty of good ones too. These people fucking hate the city. They hate, man. The YouTube comment makes no sense. Why talk about replacing their jobs with AI and then say Katie Wilson's going to make no jobs? Because they just hate workers. They just hate working class people. That's really it. There are lots of working class people who hate working class people. They despise them. They can't stand them. They just like, you know, weaponizing their livelihoods to vindictively attack others. Real r/Seattle WA type shit. Oh, 100%. I love going there to see people from Renton and Bellevue shit talk Seattle. My favorite. Let's take a look at their thread. I'm not buying Starbucks and you shouldn't either. Seattle Mayor-elect Katie Wilson joined striking baristas. They're also one of the few places you can work part-time and receive full health and dental benefits, including gender-affirming care. Probably because of the contract, no? Probably because of labor negotiations. That's something you have to work to maintain. No, actually, they don't have a contract. Or because of the fight that what they fought for previously. You know, you have to fight to maintain those rights. Starbucks is a relatively good place to work for. Again, like, this subreddit is full of fucking disgruntled exer boomers. because the Starbucks workforce is a bunch of overprivileged, disgruntled college grads who can't find jobs that fit their exalted opinion of their worth. Just imagine being this guy in the Big 25, man. Jesus fucking Christ. Yo, you spent all your money on avocado toast, so now you have to work here rather than putting your philosophy degree to work? Did those Amazon strikes lead to anything beneficial? They weren't strikes. You mean the AOC thing that was referenced earlier? That wasn't a strike. That was AOC working to block Amazon from setting up a plant in her district. It's always Republicans who are in the local channel's YouTube comment section. Yeah, because young people don't use the YouTube comment section to argue. And frankly, they don't use Reddit either. How is Starbucks worse compared to others? You mean the quality of the coffee? You would have to drink their coffee to find out. It's Seattle. Seattle has a lot of good coffee shops. I don't know why anyone would ever go to Starbucks when you live in Seattle. This lady has no fucking clue what she's getting into. What? Some people are missing the point. If you don't like Starbucks coffee, don't be a patron. The bigger point is, what is the future of the city if you have an incoming mayor who's involving herself in the middle of a business dispute of the second largest Fortune 500 company of the city? How is that bad? A company that attracts and pulls in well-paying corporate jobs and provides business tax that fills in Seattle coffers. Like, the thing that frustrates me so much is that these people aren't wealthy. The people in this Reddit thread aren't capitalists. They're just anti-progress, and they hate their fellow man. They hate society. They hate life itself. They hate their life, and they hate the fact that it's possible to fight for better things. Their lives suck, so they think everybody else's lives should suck as well. So they just reflexively, how dare a mayor take a side in a business dispute? What the fuck are you talking about? So they do that all the time. What are you talking about? They're the municipal executive. What do you mean? They do that all the time. Oh no, a mayor who stands up for the workers. Her job is to run the city, and part of running a successful city is to be a friend to business. Oh, my apologies. Sorry. Nowhere in the job description of being a mayor is being good to the working people of your city. No. You have to be good to business. Good to business. Of course, she can also advocate for employees, but in the Starbucks union case, they want more money. Guess what happens to businesses when American workers want more than a business is willing to bear? Guess what happens to businesses when the employers want more money than they're able to sustain paying their workers? What the fuck? I hate these people. They have no idea what they're talking about, but they're so confident on their Econ 101 arguments, you know? And it's just because they fucking hate the people who live here, man. They just hate young people. They hate workers. A lot of these people are fucking retired. Hold on. Let me take a look at this guy's Reddit account. Give me like an insight into your mind state. This person's account has no visible comments or overview or whatever. So it seems like they've scrubbed everything. Sorry. I can't do that. About to dox this motherfucker? Well, that's why I went to not show on the camera. Being a Starbucks barista is a job that high school and college students are qualified to work. If you're unhappy with the wages, work on your personal qualifications and find a line of work that pays better. They're like principally anti-union. Union labor built this fucking country. Everything, the 8-hour work week, or sorry, the 8-hour day, the 5-hour or the 5-day work week, everything these people base their lives on, these fucking boomers who got to work at one firm and then retire at 65, their whole life was built on the blood and sweat of union labor and what they fought for back at the turn of the century, and they fucking hate them for it. And also, nobody here is defending Katie Wilson. This subreddit is full of such cunts. I hate these people. They're so anti-Seattle. They're so anti-working people. Literally weak men making hard times. Yep. Union advocacy built fruitful jobs, and then boomers took those jobs and worked them their whole lives and made contests of how much they could lick the boot, you know? Oh, what do you mean unionize? Why? Why should I have to unionize? Can't I just outcompete my workers, you know? And now we live in the world they created, one with very few unions, very little worker rights. Oh, people are really arguing here. My God, she and so many of her supporters are such entitled losers. How dare people fucking strike or unionize? Only losers do that. And also, like, every good working man 100 years ago, but whatever. Seriously, every single fucking comment here is boomer Republican slop shit. Insane. They're all despicable beings? Yeah. Every state and city sub is full of people like this. These are also the NIMBYs who are keeping new development from being built, by the way. Society can only thrive if these people are bowled over. There's really no two ways about it. Like, these people just have to be ignored and crushed if you want society to survive. From Seattle has died. Well, of course she isn't buying Starbucks. Her parents pay for her pumpkin spice latte, lol. Genuine, like 70 IQ non-people. Median voter stuff? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Is Seattle, Washington the Republican version of the Seattle subreddit? Yeah, it's mostly people living from, like, neighboring communities. It's not Seattleites themselves, for the most part, you know? But yeah, that's the tendency. Anti-civilization. Yeah. Ah! Okay, what are we doing, apart from Katie Wilson? Filled with people too scared to take the light rail? Yeah. Oh, yeah. And we saved the best for last. Sorry, I really just do not have that much to say about it, folks. But, yeah. The one... Listen, okay? The Republican base can survive accusations of pedophilia because they're fine with it, you know? They're ideologically in favor of pedophilia. But if there's one thing they cannot abide because they're deeply misandrous, it's two dudes rocking out. Can't survive being called gay. Of course Trump is bi. All of these degenerate coastal Epstein billionaire fucks are bi. They're like vampires. They've done everything, you know? Like obviously. Yeah, they've all had bisexual orgies, you know? It's there's absolutely no fucking way they haven't. Yeah, anyway, one of Epstein's emails seems to strongly indicate that Donald Trump sucked off Bill Clinton. He said, I think the email was between Epstein and Epstein's brother, and they were talking about incriminating information that the Russians might have on Trump when he was running for president. And Bill Clinton's brother, or no, it was either Epstein or Epstein's brother. One of them asked the other. I don't remember which one asked which, but it doesn't really matter. Does Putin have those photos of Donald Trump sucking off Bubba? Bubba, of course, being a very, very common nickname for Bill Clinton. There's a Rule 34 nobody asked for. Listen, okay? It's very funny. It's very, very, very funny. Ask him if Putin has the photos of Trump blowing Bubba. Okay, that's from Mark L. Epstein. Gotcha. And he's confirmed the validity of the emails. Funny, but we can live without seeing that. It's probably a bit, you know. It's probably fake or a reference to something or whatever. It doesn't really matter, obviously. It's just incredibly funny. I don't have anything interesting to say about it. For the most part, people on Twitter are just memeing about it, you know. It's getting added into the lexicon, right? It's the it's lore that's getting poured into the you know, the bucket. Don't forget that Epstein had this hanging on his wall. Is this the Bill Clinton? Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, obviously. Rich people are so fucking weird. Why aren't any of the major media companies reporting on this? They would just ruin the meme, you know. I wouldn't expect them to do it justice. It doesn't really matter, obviously, though I do think it's funny, at least in the sense that it kind of adds to the mimetic momentum against Trump, you know? Like, the big thing that would collapse the MAGA movement would be that Trump becomes so unserious that it's impossible for his supporters to aura farm. Like, they've really had trouble with the Epstein thing, right? It's really, really, really difficult for a Trump supporter to deflect from any accusation against him and say, well, Trump's fixing, you know, America, Trump ended 17 wars, whatever, when the accusation in question is the Epstein files that he refuses to see released, right? Ironically, this is like the only mention of Bill Clinton doing anything sexual in the emails, which is insane. That is pretty funny. Isn't it true that Bill Clinton never went to the island? Or it was acknowledged at some point that he never went to the island? Yeah, Bill Clinton went on the Lolita Express 1,000,000 times, but didn't actually go to the island. Pretty fucking funny. Bro just can't get enough top. Yeah, no kidding. I bet he did, though. I don't really fucking care, to be honest. I don't give a shit, you know? Go after him, too. Who gives a fuck, man? At the end of the day, Trump's the main character here, you know? By his own design. It's what he's fought for. Would be hilarious if Chomsky and Trump are implicated as pedos, but Clinton's just a regular sex pest. Yeah, wasn't one of the emails that came out, indicated that what's his face? Why am I blanking? Chomsky emailed Epstein back in 2018 about Lula? Do I have that right? What are the deets on that? Give me info. Chomsky had way closer ties to Epstein than what he claimed. That's fucking funny. Chomsky visited Lula da Silva in prison. He called Jeffrey Epstein from that prison. He called Epstein from a prison. Incredible. What the fuck? Why? I don't fucking know, man. But Lula did not know Epstein, I assume. There's no evidence there. He just called him from prison. Who's not connected to that man? Well, that's the whole point, right? That's the whole point of being Epstein. It doesn't work unless you're connected to everyone. Bunch of people from fucking academia. It also got exposed he was using Epstein's help to blacklist other academic linguistics because they didn't support his theories. Really? Damn, is that true? I would need to read up more on that. That's pretty bad. Gotta be cutthroat to get ahead in the, you know, in the fucking dog's world of academic linguistics, I suppose. Sheesh. Look at our leftist thought leader, bro. Okay, hold on. Listen. Chomsky is widely respected, but he hasn't been a thought leader for the left in a long time, you know? I'm surprised he's still alive, to be honest with you. His Russia takes make all of his work worthless. It definitely cuts into their legitimacy a little bit, you know? Did you touch on the reveal that RBG was secretly gay all along from the emails? I already knew that RBG was gay from her refusing to resign back when Obama could have appointed a replacement, you know? I knew that. Not news to me. That was gay as hell. Gay for power. I do hate these people. I really do. He did Tanky posted Epstein in an email complaining about Ukraine. Man, really? What was the highlight? Caribbean's close to Brazil, but if you wanted, you were always welcome, and Valeria can meet you there. Still, you're gonna make the Caribbean. Looks like we'll have to wait. Highlight, chance to spend some free time together. Some good concert evening, small cafe with jazz. Brexit, Trump, Syria, Ukraine, all tribal. Huh? Wasn't that from Jeffrey Epstein, not to Jeffrey Epstein? Am I misreading the syntax here? I feel like this was said by Epstein, not by Chomsky. Read from the bottom up. I did. Also, it's kind of ambiguous. Either way, we know what he believes. I wonder if they try to demonize gays if Trump found out. If it's found out Trump was doing homosexual stuff. I don't really think the MAGA movement is that anti-gay, to be honest. They just have no... Like, they're like ambivalent on it, right? There are some MAGA people that are extremely homophobic and try to make a career off of that. You know, like extremely homophobic. But there's not really much like national attention being directed towards that. And for the most part, it looks like those grifters just get, you know, they get their leeway to say what they want. It's not something they're willing to dedicate much political energy to, which to my mind, overwhelming cultural victory by homosexuals, you know? About time we win something? Yeah. So how you guys doing? E33 today, King? No, it can't be today, I'm afraid. Maybe tomorrow, but I can't do it today. Today I have some errands that I have to run and stuff closes early. Oh, I know. Yeah. Tragic. I agree. How are you doing? I'm doing pretty good, to be honest with you. I'm cozy in my sweatsuit. I didn't have sweatpants, so I've actually been pretty cold. Just lounging around. You know? I'm very, very happy to now have warm, toasty legs. Grammy predictions? Yeah, I'm the guy to go to for that. Can you show the graphic on the sweatshirt? It's just a star. Is it warm there? In Seattle? I mean, it's warm in my sweatpants. Is that a Hamilton sweater? Sure. Whatever you want, man. Fucking, who cares? Fucking Hamilton sweater. Jesus Christ. What the hell, man? Sure. Okay. Let me read some donos. Dr. Mod, thank you for the $10. Got glaucoma surgery today. They shot a laser in my eye to make it less eye fluid. Sure. Is that how that works? Yeah, hell yeah, man. Cool. Hope that went well. Nice. Xenia, thank you for the tier 1 sub. Likewise, Semi-Locon and Travis T, thank you very, very much. Noah Too Cool for School, thank you for the $5. Can you do menswear, preppy, IV trad with lots of ear piercings? 15? 15 ear piercings. Can't find examples, don't want to invest in an aesthetic that clashes with who I am. I think you're going about it the wrong way. There's nothing about having ear piercings that disqualifies you from dressing in a preppy fashion. It's contradictory, but it's a contradiction that you can work with and use to express yourself. It's not like wrong, you know? It's like language. There's not really a wrong way to dress. It's just a matter of how you want to express yourself. And there's a clash between how you want to come across and how you're presenting yourself, right? If you have a bunch of ear piercings, you probably don't want to actually come across as preppy. You want to come across as somebody who's preppy in your dress, but then you look at your ears or whatever, and there's like an alt affect to it. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just a matter of pulling it off. Maybe you could play into that by having preppy pieces that are a little bit more contemporary in their styling. Larger pants or more flare on the sweater, that kind of stuff, you know? But there's nothing innately wrong with it, right? Not really investing in the aesthetic, right? You're exploring what you think you look good with. Com Diddy Man and Drake, thank you for the tier 1 subs both. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Not at Alpaca, thank you for the $5. And I Love Duckies, thank you likewise. Yeah, I really want to read more classic literature. I'd love to read Frankenstein, you know? I feel like at some point I should, excuse me, sit down and really try to like familiarize my stuff with the origin points for a lot of what is now very influential media, you know? You haven't read Frankenstein? No, I have never read the original Frankenstein, but I've heard it's very good. Red Orb Talon, thank you for the incredibly kind $100 dono. That's very nice of you. I'd like to have a one-on-one conversation with you about my vision for a new constitution for the US. No, I don't do that. Not for any amount of money, though I appreciate the offer. If you want to pitch me a refund via PayPal, you're free to, but no, that's not a service that I offer. Also, and I'll just say this respectfully because I do see a lot of this over email, your vision for a new constitution is irrelevant. The only thing that matters is what can be done and what political power you have to affect those changes. I've seen sometimes people will email me and they'll say, I have a new theory of something. I have a new theory on physics, you know? It's like something that pairs well with the AI schizophrenia. People will say, you know, working together with the computer, I have discovered this new something. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like a kind of megalomania or what, or like a schizophrenic tendency, but no. And also, a one-on-one conversation with me would not produce any interesting insight, you know. So yeah, I would encourage you to reevaluate your priorities. But if you pitch a refund via PayPal, I'll honor it. Dysfunctional Daisy, thank you for the tier 1 sub. I've quoted you on a date. She called me out and said, "Oh, you wash Vouch too?" Oh my God, love at first sight. We figured we both started watching you and transitioned around the same time. Jesus Christ, really? Oh, that's on the nose, don't you think? No hate. That is pretty funny, though. That's Destiny? No, that's Vosh. Thank you. Anya Mya, thank you for the for the $10. Really appreciate that. Been subbed since 2019 and first time donoing. I loved watching you and your channel grow over the years. Proud to be one of your 9 black women fans. Thank you. Listen, okay? I need everyone I can get to bolster these numbers, all right? There's a minimum diversity threshold that we need to meet or people start making fun of me for being white again, okay? Thank you for contributing. I really appreciate that. Thea Pet, thanks to the tier 1 sub. Money, that is very true. Very, very true. I need to order a new fucking keyboard, man. Hate Stairs, thank you for the $2. Really appreciate that. Arcane Spaghetti, thank you for the 2 $5 donos. You could put super blocks in Beacon Hill, just make every square of 4 blocks into a super block. I would love that. I would love that. Katie Wilson has to get on it. The Realman, thank you for the 5 Canadian. Do US streets run east-west and avenues north-south? No, there's no consistent naming scheme in the United States for any of that. I mean, maybe some cities will individually have a consistent naming scheme, but there's nothing consistent like between different cities. Rainbow, thank you for the €6. Was just taken by ambulance. Strong gas painkiller is fire. Thanks for streaming so I can watch you in A&E. Not insured and it's free. Parentheses, get Euromogged. Love you. Well, that was a painkiller dono if ever I've received one. Free Palestine, that's true. Don't donate to me when you're on your way to a hospital. I don't care if you're Euromogging me with your free healthcare costs, okay? You've got to be, it's still your money. So in this case, the only cost you're incurring during your hospitalization is the donations to me via Super Chat, which is less than what an ER visit would cost over here, but they're dying, let them cook. That's true, that's true. There was a follow-up with an additional €6. Possible ruptured ovarian cyst. I'll be okay. Tell VGG I love them. Looking forward to watching the VOD later. Okay. Well, shit. Good luck out there. Ruptured ovarian cyst. I've heard those are bad. You know? Not a problem I have to deal with. Not for a guy like me, but, you know. Donos are wild today. Yeah, no kidding. Jesus Christ. Bet you Nick Fuentes never gets ruptured ovarian cyst ER visit donos. Still alive. Thank you for the $2. Likewise, Brenton Biggs. Bruno Gomes, thank you for the very kind $20. I suppose Kamala Harris's calculation that voters would reject a gay candidate has been flipped on its head. Yeah, I suppose we'll see. Honestly, that shit is crazy to me. I can't believe that there was a big like hubbub back in 2020 over Bernie Sanders saying that he thinks a woman might have a harder time winning the presidency. But like in 2024, well, now 2025, that's not a bigger deal or more disqualifying for fucking Kamala Harris, you know? I mean, it probably is true that a lot of Americans wouldn't want to vote for a gay candidate, but the problem with Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris wasn't that they were women. The problem was that they fucking sucked ass, you know? And if Pete Buttigieg runs and loses, it will have been also because he sucks ass, not because he's gay. Ghost of Avalon, thanks to the $10. Now that Katie's the mayor-to-be, Vosh can call himself a kingmaker if he wanted to, which is both funny and kind of cool regardless of his validity. Don't worry, I'm not going to let something like truth get in the way of talking myself up, all right? Barabastantio, thank you for the two $5 donos. Really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Endeavors DNB, thank you for the $5. Daniel Green and DJ Cure, thank you for the $2 both and the kind words. Sid Kick, thank you for the $10. Much appreciated. Star Pilot 149, thank you for the incredibly kind $20. Someone was mean to me in your subreddit. Again, it's been known to happen. They're mean to me there too. They're actually mostly mean to me there in the subreddit, you know? It's primarily directed at me. Keep that in mind. You're in good company. Abdullah Nasser and High Shelf, thank you for the $10 and $15 both. I really appreciate that. Vosh, your soothing voice is getting me through a late night of studying for my ENT Part 2 board exam. Wish me luck so I can provide the proletariat with free healthcare. Good luck, friend. Good luck. Free healthcare. Free. You're not an American then, huh? Not providing the American proletariat with shit. I don't know how I feel about that. Victorious Gardenosaurus, thank you for the $5. Likewise, Stuerty. I'm a researcher in linguistics, pretty cutthroat. TBH, academics are very sensitive about their theories. I understand that. You've got your ego staked to whatever you're putting out there. However, as cutthroat as academia can be, I don't endorse the tactic of getting Epstein to blacklist your opponents, you know? I think that we can probably refrain from resorting to those tactics, in my opinion. Still alive with the $5. Sam Cedar said the most likely reason Dems caved in the shutdown was to prevent Trump from getting rid of the filibuster. Do you agree with that? I don't, because at least from what I have heard, I'm not aware of any give that Thune had that had given essentially on the subject of getting rid of the filibuster. You know, like there's no reason to believe, at least from what I'm aware of, that the Senate Republicans were getting closer to succumbing to that pressure. I could be wrong on that. Maybe that is the reason. If it turns out that, like, there was a quiet talk behind the scenes between Senate Democrats and Republicans, that the Republicans were considering, you know, doing away with the filibuster, then, you know, maybe that's a different story. But if it was just something they assumed, I think that might be cap. Been like 5 weeks, man. Cap. 6, 7. There we go. +2. +2's in chat. Trump demanded it, bro. What the fuck? Yeah, Trump had been demanding a removal of the filibuster for weeks. And this isn't the first time either. It's not the first time either, you know? I think that the Senate Republicans were ignoring him mostly because they care about staying in their positions after Trump is gone. They know Trump's not going to be there forever, and they worry about potential blowback in the future. In my opinion, maybe, possibly. Couldn't tell you. Waffles, thanks the $5. Could I get a double cheeseburger and an orange Coke? What the fuck is an orange Coke? And Fluffernutter, thank you for the $5. Stranded on a small fishing boat in the middle of Lake Michigan, taking on water, and it's dark now. I don't think there's any hope for me. Here's my money. Thank you, Fluffernutter. This is legally tantamount to a will. As your last beneficiary, I imagine that your assets will be dispersed to me once they're processed by the state. So thank you for the $5, and then later, everything else that you owned before you died, tragically, in Lake Michigan. Did you see Nick Fuentes got interviewed by Tucker? Holy fucking 2 weeks old news. Also, why'd you type Fuentes like that as though I have Nick Fuentes auto-muted in chat? We're contemporaries. I would never disgrace a colleague like that. I never tear down another gay man. That's fucking true. That's fucking true. Or perhaps more pointedly, I would never tear down a trans woman. There are so many in my community, and I've developed such a sense of respect for them. They're not annoying at all. Vosh, thoughts on minimalism? This is the last thing I'm going to go over before I leave. There's this YouTuber called, I think, Nick Lawyer? No, is it Jack something? Hold on, Nick Lawyer. Where does that get me? God damn it. I think I actually watched one of their YouTube shorts right before streaming today, so let me check my history. They're this obscenely stylish, yeah, Nick Lowry, there it is. This obscenely stylish New Yorker who's all like, you know, take a look at my organization system. It works for me really well. It costs $17,000 from this designer with a 2-month wait list or whatever. And I do hate him. I despise him. I really do. It's shit like this, you know? Oh, we can't do the music. We have to do the narration ones.
Let's finally swap our kitchen pendant lights. We've been updating our kitchen over the past few months, and our old pendant lights finally had to go. They came with our unit when we moved in, and we've just never loved them. So we swapped them for these bola disc pendants designed by Pablo Pardo. They're crafted of chromed aluminum with opal glass globes, and since they're 18 inches wide, but only 5 inches tall, they really open up the space, and the chrome discs actually amplify their own light, but they also catch color and views from around the space. I love how minimal they look, and I couldn't be happier with how they complete our kitchen, and let me know what you think. Let's finally swap our kitchen.
I can't stand this guy. He's so fucking stylish, and all the shit that he owns is so...
It's time for...
This shelving unit costs $16,000.
Spring refresh, so let's change it up. About a year ago, we got these USM pieces from Design Within Reach, and after living with them, we finally decided on a new configuration. We're turning them all into a super long sideboard that spans our entire wall, along with a built-in desk. This is one of the things I love about modular furniture. It can grow with you, and every piece can be taken apart and rebuilt into something completely different. Connecting together the ball joints, connectors, and chrome tubes like adult Legos that adapt to your life needs. And this configuration gives us a lot of extra surface area and maximizes the space, but without looking too bulky. Since we have a mix of solid and perforated panels, so light can still diffuse through, and we even added this super low cubby for books that are too tall for our regular compartments. I couldn't be happier with how our USM that we got from Design Within Reach is now a fully custom wall unit that perfectly fits.
It's so beautiful. It's so pretty. It's not quite minimalism, but just talking about aesthetics. Where's the one with the $12 trillion stool? Where's the stool one? Where's the stool one? And of course, yeah, he fucking probably lives in a story or some shit. This is it's my mind of like what every New Yorker is like. Where's that? Where's the store? Where's the stool? Where's the stool? Best shelf, best skateboard mount. We don't own a TV. Full watch collection. Favorite hacks, best space saving. Home bar, coffee mistakes, shelf styling mistakes. Is it this one?
Here's some space-saving apartment hacks that transformed our small space. First, skip the TV and go with a projector instead. It gives you a huge screen with zero footprint when not in use. And display ledges are great for art, but you can also use them in tighter spots like your entryway, bedroom, or bathroom for extra storage. And picture frames can be a great way to cover clutter or hide cables. Next up, a plinth or pedestal can make a statement out of an awkward corner and give you some extra storage. It's perfect for things that you don't need daily access to. Folding lounge cushions like these are great for coffee table reading and make great extra seating. Find a gate-like dining table. Ours can fit 8 to 12 people and folds away like this when not in use. And stacking stools double as a perfect nightstand or side table, and they give you a lot of extra seating, and when combined with the gate-leg table, dinner parties are easy. Moving to the kitchen, a magnetic knife rack can free up your countertops and drawers, and you can even add hooks for extra kitchen goods. Next, an over-the-sink drying mat rolls away and helps keep your countertops clutter-free. It's honestly a game changer for small kitchens. And while stacking cups like these are good, nesting glasses are even better and take up half the space. And before you ask, yes, they all fit the same amount of liquid. For your workspace, a wall organizer like this one or a pegboard can keep your things easily accessible and your desk and floor clutter-free. Next, make sure to take advantage of back-of-door storage with baskets or shoe rack like this. It utilizes the dead space that would otherwise go unused. And for the bathroom, an arrow cart like this is a perfect way to store.
You can't. It's very expensive. You can't deny the guy is making good use of the space, though. Where is the? I'll stop and I'll leave as soon as I find the fucking stool one. Oh my god, he has the Capital jacket.
What's that jacket? It's a Capital Bora jacket from the first
I didn't even see
Autumn-Winter
this
13
one.
release with a surprising connection to Louis Vuitton. For Louis Vuitton Spring-Summer 13 collection, Kim Jones reached out to Kira of Capital to help source and create Bora pieces for the men's runway collection. In the following season, Capital released their own use of Bora, starting with their take on a Levi's Type 1 trucker jacket. This release utilized scrap fabrics from the Louis Vuitton collab, along with some features that were removed in following seasons, like a bootleg Levi's tab on the pocket, a vintage blanket liner, and generally more handwork throughout. My particular jacket was purchased from Tommy Ton's Grailed Closet sale in 2020, and even though there are notable differences...
Fuck you. Just put the... Coffee table, bookshelves, next watch. Where's the one with the...
We have a lot of chairs.
No, it's not this one. Huh. I don't know why I can't.
If you own a Noguchi lamp and a Privé chair, you're not just following trends, you're recreating history. Because in 1940, Charlotte Perriand went to Tokyo and two design movements on opposite sides of the world started collaborating. In France, Perriand and Jean Privé were building democratic design, modular furniture, accessible beauty, and in Japan, the Minge movement celebrated honest materials and anonymous craft. Perriand weren't just compatible, they were collaborative. Hexagon in Paris, and when Lafano acquired the Steph Simon archives in 2001.
What do they call it? Performative males? At least he knows what he's talking about, man. Oh, this one.
This is a butterfly stool by Suryanagi that retails for over $1,200. It was designed in 1954 using 2 identical pieces of molded plywood joined by a brass rod using a technique invented by the Eames. At just a 1/4 inch thick and 15 inches tall, it works perfectly as both a stool as well as a side table, and it's currently produced by Vitra and Tendomoka. We got ours secondhand for around $300. This is a butterfly stool by Suryanagi.
Wait, where's the one that costs 10 times that? Sorry, Oh, here we go.
You've definitely seen this stool. It's iconic. It's the Stool 60, known for its bentwood legs and circular seat that can stack to save space, designed by Alvar Aalto in 1933, and is still retailed for $300. But you probably haven't seen its better looking younger sibling that's been on my dream furniture list for years, the X600 stool. Designed.
I aspire to be the level of performative male where I can have a dream stool. You know what I mean? Right, where I can, like, oh man, I'll be on the wait list, thank God. In just a couple of years, I can get...
Only 2 years later, and is no longer
Only
produced,
2
wrapped
years.
in leather, made with X or fan-shaped legs, inspired by architectural columns that integrate into the sides of the stool, compared to the undermounted L-shaped legs of the Stool 60. And honestly, it's just beautiful. I got this set from Hadden Design, a store that specializes in Finnish and Scandinavian mid-century design, and I've been selling it for nearly 3 decades out of Helsinki. But of course, with rarity comes an increasing price, and it will run you up to 10 times more than a Stool 60 for an X600.
Yeah. How does he afford this shit? I don't know. I don't hear... there's no way this motherfucker works, right? No way a person has time to have a job, but also have all these opinions. That said, this shit is kind of garbo. No, it's not. Like, he has exceptionally good taste, and the stuff that he's buying is incredibly high quality. You can't deny that. I'm saying I hate him because it's like, oh my God, this guy has infinite money, and he's just dedicated his life to living in an apartment in New York with like very, very pretty stuff, you know? It's just jealousy. All right, anyway. That's what I've been suffering over. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a refined, some might say extremely pretentious set of opinions and stuff like this, you know? After all, it's the people who produce stuff like that and who love stuff like that who make more affordable versions of that kind of luxury available to the broader public, you know? For instance, a lot of the really, really nice looking IKEA designs are sort of derivations of these original, like very high quality, very expensive products. There is a lot of nice stuff out there. Or you could just get really good at woodworking and do it, you know, do it yourself, I suppose. All right. Well, shit. Love you all very much. Take care. I'll see you tomorrow. We're going to start with politics tomorrow, but after that, probably a decent chunk of E33, because there's a lot of game to get through, folks. There's a lot of game to get through. All right? All right. Take care. More Veg slop on the way.